A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, that's they'll say I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
What up, everyone? I could not get that intro to quit there. I was clicking on it to stop and it wouldn't.
That all good. I do wonder what's going to happen the day that it just never moves into you. Like, it just stops, and I'm like, am I dead? Are we dead? Like,
or it's just like, it's just our two avatars going like this forever.
That's the show.
Yeah, it's probably more entertaining than what we actually managed to put on. But yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to Open Bar 100, number 131. It's good to have you all back, and it's good to be here this evening. How are you, Mauler?
Yes, I am pretty good. I've just been working away and waiting for the next time I can wander into the bar, drink excessively, and talk about things like James Bond's future. You know?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Yes, that will definitely be a topic for conversation tonight. Breaking news and all that. But before we begin, should we cast our minds back to 1931? It being an open bar 131 here.
Why not?
Give you a couple of little things. Actually, it was a fairly quiet year in movies, so I found a bunch of other information about that year. But I can say, at least from a movie point of view, the Charlie Chaplin comedy film City Lights received its public premiere at Los Angeles Theater. And apparently Albert Einstein was the guest of honor.
Hey,
sure,
neat.
okay. It was actually a silent film, though. Even though the talkies were well established by that point, Charlie Chaplin was very much a silent film star, and he wanted to keep it that way. And it was very critically and commercially successful. It was actually the biggest movie of the year, bringing in a mighty $2 million.
Do you think the etiquette is different for silent films somewhat, where people can just kind of talk, and some other people are like, oh, fine, I guess, I'm not missing any of the audio?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I kind of imagine back then, though, right? The whole concept of going to the movies was still relatively new, and they were probably enraptured in sheer wonder. Like, oh my God, there's moving images on the screen. Like, who would have thought this? And so, yeah, probably there was less need for talking. And
I guess there would be music, though, wouldn't there?
There's music, and yeah. So that would accompany it to some extent. And yeah, I don't know. I imagine people had just longer attention spans back then, and they were able to just focus on it.
How fucking awkward it would be if the film was playing and it was dead silence. You just hear like
the occasional like, you know,
really like a bag of crisps opening up really loud.
Yeah, I guess you definitely need something to accompany it. So yeah. Also in that year, though, the Empire State Building was completed in New York City, which is kind of cool, actually, and it's still standing. So there you go. Well, also the very first round-the-world flight in a single-engine plane. It took them 8 days, 15 hours, and 51 minutes. So kind of a big, long process to do that. But well done to them for doing it. And it was completed by Wiley Post and Harold Gatty, apparently. So nice one, chaps.
Yeah, good job.
There was also the China flood. This is mind-blowing, right? The Yangtze and Huai rivers both flooded in a highly populated area of the country, leaving 422,000 people dead. I mean, that is unimaginable in today's climate, I suppose. But like, yeah, that was just a natural disaster that happened back then. Crazy.
Yeah.
But from a slightly more interesting point of view, or a slightly nicer point of view, famous people who were born in 1931: James Earl Jones, Robert Duvall, James Dean, William Shatner, and Leonard Nimoy. And Shatner's still kicking. So is Robert Duvall, actually.
Yeah, I assume he's retired, though, right? I feel like I haven't seen him in anything new in ages.
I think he's pretty much done, yeah. Shatner is just still working like he's in his 40s or something. He just does not care.
Shatner has not noticed his age. He doesn't do that. He's like, who cares?
Isn't that mind blowing, right? A guy who was born in an era where silent films were still getting made is still kicking it now and is on X and shitposting daily.
Fuck yeah.
I mean,
The best
never
ending.
stop, Mr. Shatner. Never stop. That's just incredible. But yeah, that was 1931. So nice one. But time to get up to date. And so for that, it's time to assemble the bar. So let's bring in our guests, shall we?
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to Disparu as Reaper and Box Office Brawler. Hello, gents. Good to have you on board.
I think that's the best way to be. When I'm 88, if I'm lucky enough to get there, kind of thing, I want to be 1 second away at all times from posting a tweet that might get me cancelled. That's the aim.
I mean, at that age, who cares?
No, I hate to burst all your bubbles, guys, but the William Shatner Twitter account is not run by William Shatner.
Oh, you stop
it was
you
run
horrible
by
man.
him. But he's like, you know, he sits in his room and someone says, "Hey, do you want to tweet about this?" He goes, "Yeah, whatever." It's just
I don't think William Shatner knows anything about Twitter.
He doesn't know Twitter.
There was a story where somebody they had some sort of dealing and they'd posted something about William Shatner's account. Not guys, it isn't William Shatner. And then they got like a text immediately. Go, what are you doing? Don't tell them that. And they said, oh, sorry. And they thought it was William Shatner that had texted them because again, it came from that same number as well. So when they saw William Shatner next, they're just like, look, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to say that the Twitter account wasn't yours. And Shatner was like, what are you talking about? He had no clue about this Twitter account. So his management team are clearly, but I mean, I think if they're reflective of Bill, then brilliant.
They are, though. That's the thing, because it's a cantankerous, argumentative, shitposting kind of account. It's not like, you know, safe and corporate approved and just like shilling for Star Trek or whatever like project he's got coming up. He argues with people, or whoever runs it argues with people constantly on it.
Well, Shatner's Teflon. Nothing sticks to that boy. So,
apart from his wig.
Apart from I think it's called what do they call them? A hair
transplant system?
No, it's a hair system.
Hair enhancement.
Yeah. I'm looking at a hair system soon, I think.
Yeah.
You know, Drinker, you mentioned Robert Duvall. I think he is still active. He's doing stuff with Angel Studios. It's kind of funny. They're getting a lot of the washed out older actors. They're getting more involved. Like Kurt Russell, I heard he's doing something with them. And then, of course, you have, what's his name? The guy who played Jesus in Passion of the Christ.
Oh, Jim Caviezel.
Yeah, Jim Caviezel. Sylvester Stallone, he just did a film for Angel Studios. So I think there is some quality. It's going in a different direction though, but it's still there.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of these actors. You know, some of them have been made ambassadors to Hollywood for some reason at this point. But
yes, I'm all about it.
Yeah, but like they're I guess available to get hoovered up by these smaller studios who can do stuff with them. But yeah, like Robert Duvall, like if he's born in 1931, he's gonna have to be what, 94 at this point? To still be working at that age, to still be walking around on your own 2 feet at that age is impressive.
We just need we need one more good Clint Eastwood movie. Just one more, please. Don't go, Clint.
I think he just needs to stop now. Like
Juror number 2 was not a good film.
I've heard that.
It was predictable, boring, flat.
Damn.
I was watching it and I was just like, oh, this is clearly going to happen. They're going to subvert this. No, it's just like everything was just complete and utterly.
Yeah, the way I described it was it didn't get past its trailer. Like the trailer wasn't like hugely crazy. It was just by the end of the film, I was just like, oh well. Episode 1 is complete of this season of TV.
Do you think, like, you know, at his age, he's almost like just a figurehead for a project? Like he's there, but he's not really directing it anymore. It's just like, yeah, we can say that Clint Eastwood made this, and it's like a big name to attach to it. But really, he's just like, you know, where am I? What's going on? Why have I soiled myself?
The guy who acted it, the main guy, the British guy,
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult, yeah. He was interviewed on Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and he spoke how Clint Eastwood was very active on set. He doesn't say like, roll or cut. He just kind of like does that, and then he start the camera, and when it's finished, he's like, "Yeah, we're done." Stuff like that. But apparently he was really involved with it. But I mean, he was very flattering towards him and everything. But having watched that film, I was like, "Holy shit!"
There's definitely something to be said for like going out on a high as a director, as an actor. I think everyone assumed that Gran Torino back in the day was going to be Clint Eastwood's goodbye movie. And he just kept making them after that.
He just kept going, damn it.
Yeah, it's like Ridley Scott, he just won't stop.
You can't top Gran Torino, man.
Ridley Scott is fucking pissing all over his legacy with every like new one. At least with Eastwood, it's like the worst you'll say is, I didn't like that one.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just a boring film, just predictable and boring. And I mean, they didn't make use of the characters. Clearly, they had J.K. Simmons for like a week maximum.
They spent way too long with the premise, and I was like, I already know the premise. We got to get going, guys. Got to do more interesting things. Like,
yeah, where's the twist? Where's the turn? Is it the guy in the shack who actually witnessed it all? I was like, it's him. It's going to turn out to be Holt thought that he did it, and
not to be a dick too, but that case would have been fucking mistrialed so hard with the crazy shit that happens in it.
And I don't think the district attorney at the end anyway has enough to prosecute Holt because they have him at a completely different location at that time as well. So
I like J.K. Simmons in it. He was fun because he's a good actor.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone likes J.K. Simmons in basically everything. He's just that kind of actor. There was something that came up here actually. Did you guys notice this? It was just like an hour ago or so. From Mikey Gusler. James Gunn posted a picture with him and Zack Snyder together in an office saying, always a pleasure catching up with my friend Zack Snyder, consummate filmmaker and doubly consummate storyteller. I think he hired him from a DC Elseworlds film. Calling him a consummate filmmaker is an interesting description.
It actually wouldn't be a bad idea if James Gunn gave him some throwaway project to do in DC. And you know why? It'd be like, see, we're friends. And then you can get him like more officially to promote his movies.
Do you think, is there a Snyder fan, is there a Snyder fan base still that's got that much power within DC that like James Gunn actually has to be worried about them?
Well, whatever they are and wherever they are, if you can neutralize them somewhat, right, by trying to connect Snyder to the current DC's health, they might calm down a bit.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the reason. Because they've been very vocal, the Snyder group, against the Gunverse. I don't think there's a bigger Snyder fan than Mikey himself. God bless Mikey. And I think there's there's a rumor. There was the rumor source tomato ketchup. I'm not too sure, but there was a rumor that Zaslav had said if this Superman film doesn't perform, then we're going to start taking this film by film, or we're going to start just doing singular projects instead of this verse, universe type.
Yeah, because that approach of constantly chopping and changing your creative direction, like having a revolving door of producers and executives, that's worked really well for the past 10 years. Nice one, DC.
But doesn't it undermine Gunn anyway for him to be saying, oh, yeah, there's going to be other projects. They're going to go under this Elseworlds banner. What it does is confuse audiences. I don't think there's a lot of faith going on at DC right now. Warner, I should really say.
I just don't know what's so difficult about making a movie. Did it fail, succeed? If it succeeds, have him do another one. That seems so obvious as just a business plan. Double down on the people that make something successful. Don't plan out 10 movies with a random guy who may or may not succeed. And you're making big, massive gamble. They're supposed to manage risk and reward, and it just seems they gamble on literally anybody. So you want to take Zack Snyder after Rebel Moon, and you think, that'll be a positive.
Yeah, because I'm not like the biggest fan of James Gunn taking over DC and so on, but I think it's a really unfair thing to put on him and say your first movie has to be an absolute smash hit, unqualified success. Otherwise, we're shit canning you.
At least
because I mean, well, it's Superman and so on, so it does have a good chance of success, or it's got the best chance of any DC movie, I suppose. But it's just like it's a whole new extended universe he's trying to create here, and you can't expect the very first movie to be amazing. Like it needs a little bit of time and a little bit of consistency to give it a try, at least.
Stop making universes. I said
Sure.
this years ago. When the whole Zack Snyderverse was falling apart, I said just make one good film, take it from there. If you do all this stupid shit where you go, right, Gunn's going to do our universe, it's going to be an 8-year plan. We're going to do Superman, then we're going to follow up with what's Majiggy, the fake boys, the Wildstorm crew. And then we're going to then go to Batman. Then we're going to this. Then we're going to that. And already that plan's changed. Now it's Superman, and then we're pivoting to Supergirl straight after Superman. So already they've pivoted the plan that they had in place. There's no Batman cast. There's pretty much nobody else really cast for anything. There's TV shows and there's movies. We know how that's absolutely failed for Marvel. Just fallen flat because nobody watches the TV shows. So we're going to get to another situation where those TV characters are going to start appearing in the movies, and people are going, who the fuck are this? We know about this stuff. We know about Green Lantern and Green Arrow and stuff like this. Normally, not got a clue. They don't know who these characters are.
Yeah,
they have they're very much, and it's not an insult to them. It's very much, we know our Supermans, we know our Spider-Man, we know who Batman is. They know they're like the pop culture icons. But when you go into characters like Maxwell Lord or Guy Gardner, they haven't got or Hawk Girl and stuff like that. They don't know who these people are.
Are you kidding us? Everyone knows Maxwell Lord after Wonder Woman 1984.
I know
You
people
know him and
that-
love him.
I know people that went into the Joker movie expecting the Dark Knight Joker because they just see the Joker. They're like, well, I saw him in this movie and that was it.
Yeah.
You can come up with your big complicated diagram of all the different things of where all these people cross over. Nobody cares. There's a few people that will pay attention, but the vast majority of people go into the movie based off the character name, expecting to see the last person. And so if you come up with a new Superman, they still think it's the last Superman. You've just changed the actor. To have different continuities is awful at the best of times.
I mean, arguably their most successful property right now is Batman, and that's completely disconnected from Gunn's DCU. Because you've got like a sequel on the way, you've got the Penguin TV show, which has been really successful. It's got no connection to what he does, and it's going to end up with two Batmen, basically, because he's going to have his own version of Batman that's not going to be connected to the Robert Pattinson version. How confusing is that for general audiences? They're not going to understand what the fuck they're even seeing.
Yeah, because they'll expect Robert Pattinson to be Gunn's Batman. And so when this completely different Batman shows up in Brave and the Bold, stop it. It's the wrong name, which in itself is just such a wrong name for the Batman film, because the Brave and the Bold, when Batman was in Brave and the Bold, it was him teaming up with completely different DC characters. So this Brave and the Bold has got him and Damian Wayne Robin, who was the fifth Robin, actually. Who's the fifth Robin? People are going to be like, who the fuck is Damian Wayne? Where's Dick Grayson? Even if they know who Dick Grayson is, because even the character that long as a sidekick might still be in some people's brains. So yes, we're going to get that announcement of eventually who's going to be DCU's Batman. That's of course if this Superman film does any good, because if this doesn't do any good and the Supergirl project's now fully in development, that's going to fail miserably. They're going to go to Batman Alert because that's the only character that can save anything. And then there's probably going to be a discussion about, well, maybe we don't associate Batman with this DC universe and we try and create our own thing. Then things get all out of proportion. And this is why you just don't make these stupid verses.
Yeah.
It's nearly 20 years since the MCU started. We're 3 years removed from 20 odd years. People are done with this fucking shit. Just make individual movies and see how they perform. Don't overcommit. If something doesn't work on a singular movie, at least it's not going to fuck up or have a knock-on effect to a whole universe that you need to try and develop. This is madness at this stage doing this.
Yeah, I think DC's problem has always been for the past decade trying to have an instant MCU, like trying to play catch up, trying to get all this stuff in place within like the space of 2 movies instead of using 5 or 6. And it's always failed, and they've been constantly playing catch up ever since, and they've never found a way to make it work. And yeah, as you say, it's probably too late in the game now to try and create this extended universe that everyone's going to get super excited about, because the cinema tastes and audience tastes have changed since then. Like we're starting to move away from superhero movies. We're starting to get less interested in them, and that's
Even the
not going to help.
MCU can't do the MCU.
No. No. I mean,
It really, it really is low how the MCU has fallen so far as trying to make an identical copy of Suicide Squad 2. Like, I mean, if they're going to be stealing from DC, it's like, come on.
yeah. Nobody is going to give a shit about the Thunderbolts movie. Like, that is, it's only saving grace.
Either. Like, if it is not successful, I don't think they're going to care. They care about Fantastic Four way more than that.
Yeah, I think they're resigned to the fact that Cap 4 is probably going to lose them money. Thunderbolts,
haven't you heard? It's a runaway success, Drinker. Oh my god.
Well, let's see. Let's see what it's sitting at.
The issue with making these movies that you don't care about is you may not care about them, but they do damage your brand. And so, if you just realize it's a mistake early on and stop doing it, rather than thinking, well, we've gone too far now, we may as well burn everything to the ground.
Yeah, so Captain America Brave New World is currently sitting at 204 million worldwide after being out for a week now. So that's good. Only another 800 million to go, and they are broken even. So yeah, good luck, guys.
According to some sources, they've broken even already. They're already making huge profit.
Sure.
Drinker, I have some bad news. So I'm in my early 20s, and my friends, they like, well, what's sad about it is so many people my age and younger than me, they eat this shit up with a spoon. They love it. And I have some good friends that completely disagree with my takes on it, which is the same as all you guys pretty much. And is that it's just incredibly dull. Like the new Captain America, just incredibly dull. Like it was literally made for 5-year-olds. And people, I think so many people in my age, like the intelligible part of our maturity is when we go to see these films in theaters, from like 16 up. That's what we grow up with. You know what I mean? That's when we start to think about what a movie is like. And all we've been subjected to is all this garbage the last few years. So we're starting to think this shit tastes good. And they don't know the difference unless they watch the old stuff. It's terrible.
Well, yeah, because like guys of your age are in the interesting position of having grown up with this stuff. Like you probably don't even remember a time before Marvel movies because you would have been too young at the time. And yeah, like now if you're getting into your formative years, like at least from say 14, 15 onwards, right, when you actually kind of pay attention to movies a bit more, you kind of have had the slop. That's been fed to your generation.
Slop, man. And it's always so different when you're at the theater and you see it compared to watching something at your place. So it sits with you differently.
Just like the idea of the world, like, gather around and we'll tell you what it was like when we were your age.
I remember the dark days of the X-Men movies in the 2000s.
I do think though that even if it's only thing you've experienced, it might be like fast food where you think it tastes nice, but it's not fulfilling. I think it's the same thing with the stories. These aren't the early 20-year-olds. They may go and see it and they like it, but it leaves no kind of lasting impression. They won't be talking about the movie in 20 years. And so I think even if it's your only bar of quality, like, well, this is the best thing I've seen, you don't keep talking about it. There is no massive fan base for Captain America out there.
Well, I mean, let me ask this: like,
mad by that with the people who claim to love it, shill the shit out of it, and then like a day later, if you ask them the plot line, they'd be like, "Oh,
whatever the next fast food." Comes
on. And that's the nature of it. But like, for guys of your generation, like, did they even watch older stuff? Like, do they go back to movies from the 90s or the 80s or even the 70s? Like, ever try stuff like that, or are they just very much in like whatever's current? Just watch it.
I think, it's so sad. So many people, I've known, I've met through so many different experiences. A lot of people just don't watch movies anymore. They don't care about movies, and it's the TikTok generation. I'm making a video about it right now about just how sad it is the place Gen Z and Gen Alpha are in right now. It's terrible. You know, this satisfaction they get from 7 seconds at a time. It just, that hunger can't be fulfilled through these, like, you know, 2-hour long narratives. It's really disappointing, and they aren't unless I have like just a select few people that talk to me about the older films. They don't really take advantage of checking out the old bank of stuff, and if they do, I mean, they don't go farther back than 2000. I mean, that's a no-go zone for us.
Jesus, we're
Yeah.
fucked.
We are,
As a
man.
society.
We are. It's bad. It's not good news. It's
Fucking
disappointing.
Gen Z.
This is the problem, like, because a lot of the franchises that are around today, like whether we're talking about like the latest Indiana Jones movie or the latest Jurassic Park movie that they're trotting out, you know, a lot of these things started in like the 80s and 90s, and like people won't even have taken the time to watch the original movies that spawned all this. And
Well,
that's the
yeah, but
sad
that-
thing.
I
Their
think
view
that's
of
as
history
far
is that everything constantly gets better, and so why would I go and check the previous stuff?
Yeah,
Because we're on a
yeah.
progressive trajectory; it always improves.
I
And so
think
if you
that's as
plan
far
2000
as I think that's as far as young viewers will go, though. I think they'll visit the old stuff. You know what I mean? Like Beetlejuice 2 comes out. Great, let's watch the first one. Let's have some fun. And that's it. So that's one thing these sequels are doing, is they're stimulating interest in older IPs. But I mean, further tarnishing them, though, in the same case.
Yeah. No, there's like, as Mauler was saying, I think it was Mauler earlier. This whole problem of producing inferior sequels and inferior additions to your franchise. Oh, sorry, I think it was Disparu actually who said it. It does have an impact in that it gradually puts people off. Not only does it cut into your revenue for like the new projects that you have, but it gradually drives fans away when you start to develop that reputation of, in the MCU's case, the Marvel, yeah, it used to be good, but I've heard it's a bit shit now. I'm not going to bother watching the latest movie, and then you've just lost another fan. And that reputation is really hard to rebuild once you start to lose it.
Thankfully-
it's why with bad television, if you look at the series, quite often the customer reviews go up over time, even though but it's just because it's losing customers. So everyone else that reviewed it awfully don't watch it, and you're left with just a small number of reviewers that
Yeah.
really love the crap.
Well,
Yeah.
thankfully, so one thing that's clear as day is that people, like all my friends and a lot of younger people I know, they don't like Star Wars. Star Wars is dead. They don't care about Star Wars. It's all dead. They still care about Marvel for some reason, but Star Wars is completely gone.
Yeah. I mean, that is a foregone conclusion at this point. I bet they don't even mention Star Trek. That's just not even in their
Not even in
their
the
lexicon.
vocabulary. No.
Yeah. I just realized we went off on like a 30-minute tangent talking about random stuff like this. I'm going to go right on to James Bond. There was just a super chat that came in. It was a $50 one, so thank you. It says, hey, gents, regarding Die Hard clones, there's one missing. Take Sean Astin, add a bald Bruce Campbell, a stolen nuke, set it on a ski resort, fill it with enough ham and cheese to supply a fondue joint, and I'll serve you the 2000 pinnacle of Die Hard clones, Icebreaker. Is that a thing? Sean Astin and Bruce Campbell in a movie together in a ski resort. I mean, yeah, sure. I have not seen that.
Yeah,
So I
apparently,
don't
yeah.
know.
Just looking now, yes. Sean Astin
Icebreaker.
trying his hardest to do a Bruce Willis pose on the front, yeah.
So is it
Bruce
from-
Campbell bald?
Yeah, so is it from the year 2000? So this
Yeah.
is like mid sort of Lord of the Rings Sean Astin.
Yeah. Well, this is pre Lord of the Rings Sean Astin.
Well, yeah, because they were already kind of in pre-production and filming in
Pre-production, yeah, but-
99. So yeah, I suppose it would be like he would have filmed this before that. So yeah.
It's Bruce Campbell and Stacy Keach as well. God bless.
Wow. Now you probably think that's a woman, but it's not.
No.
Who calls their son Stacy? Fuck.
The guy's still alive, so anyone that has said that to his face, they've probably got the wrong end of it.
I mean, he must have had a tough time in high school. I'm just saying.
I don't think back in those. I mean, he's born in what? Oh, good grief! What year is Stacy Keach born? 41, actually. Okay, thought he's a little bit older than that. You know,
What,
there was
people
some
in the
sort of
40s weren't kind.
Hmm?
The World War was going on. People weren't kind in the 40s.
It was a tougher time. Yeah, I imagine if you stood out in school, you would get it pretty tight. Oh well.
We used to have a
anyway,
few more. We used to have a few more, interchangeable names though back then, didn't we? Where you could call a girl or a boy the same name.
Well, John Wayne was called Marion.
Marion, yeah.
I don't get it.
Whoa,
That's kinda cool.
Marion.
Say that.
First chance he got, he changed his name.
Yeah.
You would, wouldn't you?
What do you want to change it to, Marion? John.
I don't think it was even him. It would have been like, I want to get into acting. Okay, so he goes to like his talent agent. It's like, so okay, let's get you into some westerns. What's your name? Marion. Not gonna work, son.
They just get his CV expecting an entirely different person to turn up trying to get into Hollywood. Want to do action movies?
That casting couch will have to wait for sure.
Yeah. 6'4" guy walks in. Oh,
Yeah. Anyway, James Bond, right?
no.
So, as we all know, the Bond franchise has been under the control of the Broccoli. I can't believe it's called Broccoli, but okay, the Broccoli family ever since their cinematic debut back in the 60s. First, it was Albert Broccoli, and then it was his daughter Barbara. We're coming to get you, Barbara. And she has been under a bit of duress from Amazon since they acquired their control of MGM Studios. So they own the entire back catalog. So it's been this big legal battle for quite a while. Really, ever since No Time to Die. They have not produced any more Bond movies since then, and that was 4 years ago. And there's still no confirmed casting for the new Bonds. And we just found out today that Barbara has stepped away from control of the Bond franchise, and it's now under the control of Amazon themselves. So they are going to be moving forward with it. And the best thing I can liken this to is George Lucas selling Star Wars to Disney.
Oh, no. This is more like Lilith and Satan having a fight. Like, she is the one that deconstructed Daniel Craig's Bond in the first place. She had entire creative control over that. And I think them fighting was the best. If you like Bonds, that was the best thing. You just didn't want them to do anything else.
It's locked in forever.
Yeah. So Amazon seemed to be taking a personal interest in destroying everything I love. I'm sure Stargate's going to be next.
I think, though, what they're going to try and do is exploit it and franchise it. So you're going to get spin-offs from Bond. You're not just going to get a mainline Bond movie every 2 or 3 years. You're going to get TV shows. You're going to get multiple like cinematic universes. We're going to get the Bond-verse.
Tanner's Day Out. I can't wait for that.
One of the reasons Broccoli was mad at them is because they described it as content, which she didn't like, and started suggesting things like a Money Penny spin-off TV series.
Yes. Well, we're going to get it now.
Thing they wanted.
That's what everyone wants. Come on.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be her filing paperwork for an hour.
Oh, yeah. This is where we're at now, and this
At
is
least it'll be low budget.
I mean, you'd hope. The way Hollywood budgets are worked out these days, it will probably cost about $300 million.
Yeah.
Just the silent paper.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is the last set of articles. Broccoli was quoted as telling her friend she thought Amazon was a bunch of fucking idiots. So that means that she's been in contract negotiations with people knowing she said this about them, and they had to sort it out anyway.
The thing that gives me that makes me at least think slightly better of her is that she has been with Bond through some pretty good times as well. Like, she oversaw the Pierce Brosnan era, the Daniel Craig era as well. But she
didn't have all the power then. She was being introduced, and then as she got more power, Bond went the way it did. Are you
sure though? Because I thought she well and truly took over with the Pierce Brosnan era.
Probably by the end, but I think the Pierce Brosnan era got worse over time as well. I think
it
the first
certainly
movie
did,
she did, I think it was she came in with Brosnan at the same time. So she
Nobody thinks Die Another Day is better than GoldenEye. Nobody, not a single soul on this planet.
No, GoldenEye is potentially the best Bond film ever.
It's really fucking good.
Pretty fucking good, yeah.
Same director who did Casino Royale, which is kind of interesting that he kickstarted 2 new Bonds 10 years, and they were both really banger movies. So
yeah, I mean, you look
Good
at
guy.
Casino Royale, and you got to think coming out of that film, fuck, Bond's in a really good place.
Yeah.
Rip
Oh, we got fucking learned.
the quantum of Stalin.
That fucking learned us. Oh, and then you just think, No Time to Die. You go from Casino Royale, right? You take take a time machine, right? And you go back to 1995 and you take somebody that's just watched GoldenEye and just gone, look, 10 years' time, 11 years' time, this is where Bond's going to be. Pierce Brosnan's moved on. Here's Casino Royale. And they're going to go, oh, okay, fuck, this is great. This is real kind of grit. Yeah. Do you want to see where this one ends? Oh, hell yeah. No Time to Die. What?
Yeah.
I really didn't like that film.
Well, no one did. And,
And it did
no one
hugely well as well.
Mm-hmm.
It did because everyone knew it was Daniel Craig's final movie, and it was like the end.
They
of
went
the
to
era.
celebrate.
Yeah, I don't think anyone
Popcorn and
celebrated more than
fireworks.
Daniel Craig. Like, finally, I'm out of this godforsaken franchise. Like, clearly hated it.
Yeah, now I
People
can do Knives Out forever.
Yeah,
now I can watch this shit Bond die. That's what.
My favorite thing is when he did an interview and said, I'd rather break glass and attack my wrist with it than do another Bond movie. And then he just did. And you're like, why would you hire an actor after he said that, after he's gone on tour and told everyone how much he hates the franchise? You're like, oh, we need him back for another one, though. That'll be amazing.
That's also the kind of thing, if you say in an interview, the interviewer should just be like, are you okay? Like, we can stop if,
just blink if you need help, if you need rescue.
At least
I always got the
Harrison Ford said,
impression
"I
that,
don't
like,
care."
well, yeah, I always got the impression that like his agent kind of cajoled him into going for Bond. Like, he probably didn't want to do it. He wanted to do more like serious character dramas and all that boring shit. And his agent was like, "No, it'd be really good for your career if you play Bond. Like, that's amazing." And he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll go and I'll try." And he got it. And then he's like, "Fuck, I didn't expect this." And then he didn't just do one movie. He kept getting more and more offered to him. I imagine he was under contract to do a certain number at least, like minimum.
I think it was under contract for 3.
Yeah.
And then he did the 3, and then he wanted to leave after Skyfall, and they managed to talk him into doing Spectre. And then after Spectre, he said, "I'm absolutely," like he did the whole Mauler thing. "I'm fucking done." And then he ended up doing No Time to Die. I think it was more the process of everything that goes along with filming the Bond films that was just dragging him down as opposed to necessarily doing James Bond. But I think he was also one of these people that was like, I want to do something different with Bond. I'm all on board. Let's kill him off. Let's make it a specific arc of movies.
He was definitely on board with the whole deconstruction of Bond thing, like making him no longer a ladies' man. He's not really got it anymore, and deconstruct all the tropes of the Bond genre because we need to make him less toxically masculine. And
he went into it hating the gadgets, something which is fundamental to Bond. You can't have Bond and just be like, "No, he's actually Jason Bourne." It doesn't work.
Yeah. And so, like, his tenure always just felt like such a fucking drag. And the problem is it went on forever. Casino Royale was, 2005? And No Time to Die was 2021. So that's 16 years of Daniel Craig being miserable. And that is a long time to be miserable.
Yep.
And we
British,
kept getting subjected to it. I think, from what I understand, the biggest problem that Amazon had with Barbara Broccoli and, like, the way her company was running things is they were slow. They were slow to produce new content. They were slow to produce new movies, and they wanted more content quickly. And it's been 4 years now since the last Bond movie, and we're still no further forward. There's no idea of who's going to be playing him. No idea if there's even a script for the next movie. What have they accomplished in 4 years? Apparently nothing. So yeah, I can understand Amazon's.
Yeah. I mean, that's a sign of the times. We're in a position where we know how Bond works. This has been going on for nearly 60 something years. So we know what buttons to push. Bond, gadgets, explosions, spy, womanizing, shooting. It's a very simple premise, and it's like the Blade movie for Marvel. It's just a guy killing vampires, but they can't do it. Why? Because they don't know where to stuck the intersectional shit in. So it's the same with Bond. It's like, how do we make this guy that's a womanizing, hard drinking, spy, how do we get this guy to work in our ideology, in our world? Whereas the world's just calling out, crying out for this guy to do what he's always been doing for 60 plus years.
Do you think that with the turn of the times, they're going to start, bringing it back to the way it was and the way it should be, womanizer and such?
No,
you don't
not
think so? No
Hi,
chance.
Rings of Power. Have you seen?
I mean, is Jennifer Salke still in charge of Amazon Studios?
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as we're on, yes.
Yeah, Bond's fucked then.
Yeah, it's gonna be another decade before we can.
You need to fire that bitch and get someone in who actually knows what they're doing. Someone who understands what Bond is and what he appeals to. Because again, you're not going to make Bond into a girl franchise, a female-led franchise. It's not going to appeal to girls in the same way that it appeals to guys, right? Just embrace that. And if you can't embrace it, why the fuck even own the rights to it? Give it to someone who does care.
It's funny how that... Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
It's funny how that sentiment has literally destroyed everything. That hasn't benefited any series. Can you think of any series that's actually benefited?
Nope, they tried it with Star Wars. They've been trying it for 10 years with Star Wars to try to turn that into a girl brand. Doesn't work.
Well, they take off percentages.
To some degree.
There was an article recently that said, finally, women now have parity in pay in the top grossing movies. This is the best thing that's ever happened. So, yeah, you burnt the entire industry to the ground to get parity, to get equal numbers. Whereas
we earned $1,000 each in this movie.
But apparently it was Jennifer. It was reported as Jennifer Salke was one of the ones that pissed off Broccoli. It was Jennifer Salke that described Bond as content. So immediately didn't like that. Broccoli is in line with what Amazon wanted, though. She was quoted as, the article put her as saying she had no interest with like a black Bond, a gay Bond. Her only line was that he must be British. So I don't even know what they're really arguing over, unless Amazon wanted an American to take over Bond, which would be weird at the best of times.
I think it ultimately does come down to the extended universe idea. I think Amazon just wanted to franchise this out into like loads of spin-offs. Probably Broccoli was like, no, we've done Bond this way for the past 60 years. Just one feature film every few years. That's it. That's all we're doing. And they were like, no, we spent a shit ton of money getting MGM Studios and all the rights to all their back catalog. We want a return on our investment and we need content. And that's probably the source of it.
If we're going down this road, go all the way. Money Penny spin-off, find like have
Shopping.
M going out and just bring back the old M, just have her just going around being an assassin herself.
Have Tanner pick out some slippers so when he goes home, he's got something comfortable to get into.
I want a romantic drama with Q and his gay lover just getting into all kinds of dramas and problems and stuff, trying to make it in a tough world.
Q does Soho. It's just him and his boyfriend going around clubs, picking up other dudes, they're taking MDMA,
going to the Notting Hill Carnival, just having a blast,
snorting coke and just going crazy, and then turning up for work the next day.
Yes, that's what you laugh at that, but that's what they'll fucking make.
I laugh because if somebody from Amazon's watching this, they're like,
that's a good idea.
That's an idea. I'm gonna put that in the maybe column. Okay?
Bond investigates like a secret organization. It turns out to be the Stargate franchise. Starts traveling to other worlds. They do their own crossovers.
Oh god, yeah. Fucking Q finds the One Ring.
It's so funny as well, right? Because just a couple hours ago, Jeff Bezos himself put out a tweet saying, like, who should we cast as Bond? And fucking every single response is just GIFs and images of Henry Cavill.
Yes.
Every single one, right? And it's like it's such a retarded, no-brainer, obvious choice. They won't do it. I know they won't.
Yeah. Because it'd be too masculine. When you were saying appeal to a female audience, that's what they'd love. They'd love to project themselves onto the Bond girl that Henry Cavill comes along and saves from some kind of disaster. But it's the one story that Amazon will never do because it would mean making them essentially a victim.
The thing is, right? They could easily do like 006. Right, and like we get a spin-off where it's like a female 00 agent who gets to go and do her own adventures. You can make it a TV show, lower budget, probably because nobody will really want to watch it. But great, you can do that if that satisfies.
They can make it good though.
You can.
I mean, we would have been really kind of interested in that 20 fucking years ago.
There was back in the day when Halle Berry the actual hot one, was in Bond, right? Fucking.
You look me in the eye and say that.
Yeah, there was talk about Jinx getting her own little spin-off movie. It was
Yeah.
briefly considered, and I think might have actually been kind of successful if they tried it, but it never came to fruition.
Halle Berry's really hot back then.
She
I mean, not
is.
just physically,
She
but
was.
she was just physically hot, but she was hot stuff in Hollywood as well.
Yeah.
You know, she'd had Monsters Ball, she'd had the Bond film, Swordfish, the X-Men franchise. So there was lots going on with her. And she was, you know, hot property.
So was a Catwoman there. Yep.
I kind of avoided that one.
Honestly, I respect her for turning up for her Razzie Award and giving like this really heartfelt speech to collect it.
You really love me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone who recommended this movie to me.
Back in the early 2000s, you had a lot of Alias, Nikita kind of female spy drama shows where they just went around beating them up. No one cared because they were hot, and the entire show had that kind of sensual element to it. And again, the one thing that would make your thing a success is the one thing they can't do. And unless they change the people in charge, they're now willing to go back to it. Remember, Jennifer Sulky was the one that cancelled the Conan the Barbarian series.
Yes.
Because she wanted Wheel of Time to be more feminist. That was what was reported as her reasoning. It does seem, the more you get back to Amazon, Jennifer Sulky is just the one in charge that can't, until she's gone, you can't change.
Yeah. And it's
wait
such
for
a shame
TV.
because,
Go on.
yeah, I mean, with them owning the rights to MGM Studios, and like they've got a back catalogue of something like 17,000 TV shows and about 4,000 movies. Like, it's insane the number of properties that now they own the rights to, and it's all under the control of this fucking idiot who doesn't understand how to make good TV. That's the problem. She's the Kathleen Kennedy of Amazon.
I'm waiting for the announcement that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to direct the next Bond film.
Oh,
I mean, she looked over the last script, didn't she?
She did.
She was the one that ruined the last fucking script.
You could tell that clunky changing of gears when like the Phoebe Waller-Bridge stuff creeps into the script and then it's gone again. It's so obvious.
I think then she was given Tomb Raider and hasn't done anything with that either. Like,
Still going
She
forward,
hasn't.
though.
She hasn't done it. Is it Netflix that she's working under? Or no, it's Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Sorry,
Amazon,
Amazon.
yeah.
Amazon have been paying her $20 million a year and got nothing for it.
She's
so far.
accomplished fuck all. I don't know what she's been doing all this time.
Well, they cast Sansa. Sansa Stark.
Yeah, the least charismatic.
Was that
woman
still
in
is
Hollywood.
that just like the rumor which never quite got?
I think it was a
confirmed?
rumor.
Or was it just a rumor?
I think so.
I-
But it's
I'm
one of
honestly-
those ones where it's so believable you're not sure.
Honestly, I'm waiting
Lego.
for them to cast that Ginger Jesus girl from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh no, she's the next Bond, mate.
Yeah.
Why not?
You know, it's
both?
like certain actors just like keep like showing up in things, and you just think, how the fuck did you get that role? Like, do you have an amazing agent, or do you know where the bodies are buried, or what, man?
as good as Timothy Chalamet is, I'm sick of seeing him. I'm sick. He's great. He's like the only decent young man actor right now, but gosh, he's in everything now.
I mean, he was great in the Dune movies. I have issues with him in that, like, he is so fucking effeminate looking. I don't know what role suits him.
He was good in
You
The
know.
Complete Unknown. I liked him a lot.
Yeah,
in
I've heard
that.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Heard that's pretty
a
good.
good one. Great romance.
He feels like a sort of younger Tom Holland.
Oof.
Sounds crazy to even be saying now because Tom Holland still looks like he's about 12, but
Well, he's still. He now looks like a 12-year-old who's 74. It's weird. The AS9 and Wheel of Time was supposed to have an ageless face, but you could tell they were older than they look, and he is that kind of thing. He has features. of both.
okay.
When they on the cusp of maybe announcing Aaron Taylor Johnson as Bond?
See, that was a very strong rumor that was going
Ah.
around, and I didn't hate that idea because, like, I do kind of like his. I like his style. I think he's a decent actor. He's got the physicality for it. He could probably do okay. It would be an acceptable choice, I think. But again, nothing ever came of it. I do have actually. I'm sure you guys have seen this already. the audition tapes that some of the big guys in Hollywood tried to do back in 2005 for Casino Royale before Daniel Craig was cast, they've resurfaced. They were on like VHS back in the day, and it is literally their rough cut audition tapes. But I've got them all here. So there's Sam Worthington, Henry Cavill, Rupert Friend, and Anthony Starr, which is kind of a weird combination of people, but I can show you a little bit because like they're several minutes long each, so I won't show you the whole thing, but give you an idea of what they look like. Let's see if we can bring up Sam Worthington's one here.
Because he...
Hold on, I'll move it forward a bit. So the scene they had to play was they took the scene from GoldenEye when Bond meets Xenia Onatopp in the casino for the first time, because it gives them plenty of meaty dialogue to work with, and I think it lets them like put their own stamp on it a little bit. So yeah, this was Sam Worthington's attempt.
Seems we share the same pleasures. I'll start again.
I'm moving forward a bit.
Good eye, my name's Bond.
I can't believe he just kept his fucking Australian accent.
I was about to say, like, surely you want to make as best an impression as
Yeah.
possible.
I
That is
guess.
where your real talent lies.
One has to rise to the challenge.
Double.
The parody.
7.
Okay, this isn't the greatest audition, is it?
No.
5.
I'll move him forward a little bit.
James Bond.
He's not doing anything with his body either, you know.
Can we hear James Bond in the Australian accent?
On the top,
Yeah, go
Oh,
back.
straight up, with a twist. Thank you, Mr.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Oh no.
My
That's
name's
not how-
Bond. James
just
Bond.
Bond.
James Bond.
You can't.
If we were the selectors here, we have a chance to put a thumbs up or thumbs down. I feel all of us on that moment would have thumbs down. We're like, bye.
Yeah.
Hey, this is your time.
I mean, because Sam Worthington, he was they definitely tried to make him a thing back in the 2000s. Like they
Yeah.
tried to launch him, and he just was not a leading man.
Now
he
he's
didn't
just
have.
Avatar man.
Yeah, and most of that was spent in CGI, so like it wasn't even really him.
I mean, it's a great career trajectory, I guess, for security, but he's just he's not going anywhere else. You know, it's lucky that Avatar happened at the moment that Worthington was trying to happen, because if it were anyone
For
else,
sure, yeah.
yeah.
This to
Even
me
this
is the most Sam Worthingtons of Sam Worthington auditions. This is the character who plays in everything. It's just
Yeah.
very vanilla.
But
It is, yeah.
also, it feels kind of Daniel Craig because he's still got the stubble going on. He's just wearing kind of loose clothes. You're going for the interview, at least be Bond. You're suave, sophisticated. You're supposed to be upper
That's
class.
what I meant by impression. I didn't mean like a literal impression of the voice, but make a good impression on the casting director, right?
Yeah.
Like the people there. You want to look like you'd given a shit.
And you feel different in a suit, so it would make you present yourself differently just being in, like, even if you just wore any suit.
Do you want to see Anthony Starr's one? Because I didn't
Oh,
even
hell
know
yeah.
he was. I didn't even know he was active back in 2005. Like this is really going back. But okay, here we go. I love how his hand drawn. It's just- okay.
Yeah, everything's so low effort.
Action.
Yeah, and it's in some shitty hotel room as well.
Uncle. It appears we share the same passions. 3 anyway.
I count 2. Motoring and baccarat. I hope the third is where your real talent lies.
I thought he was just about to say, "You fucking what,
One
mate?"
rises to meet the challenge.
He's putting in a bit more effort, I think,
Enjoy
than
it while
Sam
it
Worthington
lasts.
was.
The very words I live by.
That dead stare does not work.
So tell me,
No.
what are the words you live by?
And
The
there's
trick
weird
is to
intonation.
quit while you're ahead.
There's a trick I've never
At
learned.
least he's doing something. At
Perhaps
least
you'll
he's
show me how it's
emoting
done.
and using his body.
Yeah, this is way better than the last one.
Yeah.
There's a trick you've never...
The thing I like it as well when they fuck up, they just keep rolling. Like they don't
Yeah.
do a retake or anything. It's like I've got one shot. Let's do
Trick I've
this.
never learned. Perhaps you'll show me how it's done. Vodka martini, shaken not
Smacking his
stirred.
lips a lot, though. Let's do him
And
head
for
in.
you,
The same.
how do you take it?
Straight
Up
up.
the ass.
He's again, like he's doing this like weird dead stare, like holding eye contact constantly, and he just
his eyes are watering.
Sometimes it's like it's frozen, and you're like, no, he just hasn't moved an inch.
It's fascinating seeing these guys take on the character though, like particularly from 20 years ago when they were a lot younger and less experienced. It's the Henry Cavill one that's most interesting in a lot of ways.
Both of these aren't Brits, though. This is this thing, and it kind of I feel that as soon as we get Cavill's going to get it immediately because of how British Bond is, and I just don't think these two auditions understand the Britishness of Bond.
Yes, you find this with Doctor Who as well. You'll find a lot of Americans going, or with Harry Potter. I don't mind if they swap the nationality of the people. Yeah, but you wouldn't because you're foreign anyway, so it doesn't mean anything to you. Whereas if you want something that is intrinsically that feels British, it needs British people in it.
Yeah. Well, let me bring it up because this. So if this was 2005, like Henry Cavill's like 41, 42 right now. He would have been like 21, 22 back then. And that is super fucking young to be doing something like this. But let's see it.
He hasn't aged.
Your third is where your real talent lies.
One rises to meet the challenge.
Double.
Sweetie. Cat.
5. 6. Bank loses.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
The very words I live by. So tell me, what are the words you live by?
The trick is to quit while you're ahead.
I never learned that trick. Perhaps you'll show me how it's done. Vodka martini, shaken not stirred. And you?
Way more suave ability.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And how do you take it?
Straight up, with a twist. Thank you, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Senior on the top.
Excuse me. Come again. This time, not in my ears.
I think he had a double struggle with this one because there seemed to be like a fucking jet engine in the background. It's really loud. But I mean, like, I think I'm glad they didn't try and cast him 20 years ago. He would have been way too young for it.
I have no problem with a young Bond because he was supposed to be an orphan that was raised from being a child to be a spy. And so he's probably been doing this stuff his entire life in some kind of situation or another.
I mean, possibly. I think probably 10 years ago would have been the ideal time to cast him. Like, he had way more experience. He'd obviously matured as an actor and so on by that point. But still young enough to cast and then have him around for the next 10 or 15 years quite easily, still playing that role.
He was the only one that had any real wit out of those guys. I mean, those guys were so stale. I mean, had some character.
I mean, using his eyes much better as well.
You could kind of tell when Sam Worthington was going for it. It was just like almost like a mandatory, like, my agents told me to do this audition, so I guess I'll give it a shot. But I'm not expecting.
The second one, the way he phrased everything like a question, it's like, maybe you'll show me. That's not Bond. Bond would tell you what's going on.
Yeah, Anthony Starr is just a weird choice. It's just, I had no idea he'd even auditioned for that role back then. But there you go. But yeah, that was the Bonds that could have been and never were, so far at least. I guess we'll wait and see what happens.
They didn't try too hard to look professional. Jeez, they were also ratty.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen audition tapes before, and they can quite often be rough. Like, literally just fuck it. I'm traveling right now. I'm in my hotel room. I'm just get my iPhone and like do a selfie and then deliver the scene.
I get that, but like that's James Bond. Wouldn't you want to be? I guess they didn't think of that. They were like, take it or leave it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and I'm okay with just he put on a jacket and a black shirt. That's whatever. Okay, at least that's close enough. Well, than even Henry Cavill has a leather jacket on doing Bond.
Yeah, because I guess like 2005, there wouldn't even really be like
trans people. Oh, sorry.
There wouldn't even be camera phones or anything back then.
Or if they were, you wouldn't want to film an audition of them. There'd be like one,
probably,
like 48p.
But yeah, well, it's kind of an interesting little thing that we get an insight into, I suppose. But yeah, that was the world of Bond that could have been. I don't know what's going to happen now that Amazon have got the rights to it. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more Bond products though over the next few years.
I'm guessing next episode you're going to show us Pedro Pascal's audition. For,
Oh no!
Yeah, because he's passing, and now they don't care about him being British.
It's him. It's gonna be him.
He will get it. That's the thing. If he auditioned for it, he would 100% get it.
Oh, Zendaya.
I actually think
Zendaya,
that rather than audition tapes, they would have been better. Like Daniel Craig came off Layer Cake, I think it was. He did a really good performance in that. But Man from U.N.C.L.E. is still Henry Cavill's best interview for James Bond.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
After that, he didn't get it.
Yeah.
Are
Well, people still
they-
reference like images from that movie as like, this is why he should be Bond.
Yeah,
And he's
because
in
I had
a
no
suit
idea
and
who he
everything.
was at the time. I just liked that role in the movie.
Hasn't there been talk recently about a sequel to that? Now that Armie
then
Hammer's
might they do it?
cannibalism seems to have died down a wee bit.
Cannibalism has died.
People. He's always up for it, but he just hasn't done it recently. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything more about it. Maybe they will.
Talking to that, are you still a cannibal? He's like, no.
No,
No.
I'm digesting it now.
It
They're
just starts
scraping-
drooling.
They're scraping at the bottom
Or like
of the
he
barrel
kind
right
of lowers
now.
his voice, like, "Are you?"
But there was that there was a court case in Germany where I think it was Germany. A guy was advertising in the press, "Do you want to be eaten?" No, he did it twice because nobody believed the first time it was a serious thing, and then the second time the police investigated.
I mean, did you get many responses? Like, yeah, sure, eat me.
Loads. You know, there was one story where he wanted it to be consensual, and a guy turned up wanting to be eaten, decided against it, and they went to see a movie instead.
Aw.
I like that those are the two options. You know?
An happy ending.
Ethan,
Yeah.
Watch a movie together. Netflix
It's like, I
and
can't
a
eat you. We could still
They
be friends.
They
Yeah.
finished the film. They're on their way out. He's like, "So, do you want to?" And he's like, "I'm not feeling it, really."
I changed my mind.
filled me up now, you know.
I'm not feeling
Can we just get a kebab or something? It'd be fun.
Yeah, dirty
Cannibal was
kebab.
like, "Yeah, it's not the same, but okay."
I mean, it might be human meat in that. You never know with kebab shops.
Or just any Chinese restaurant.
Well,
Yeah.
you see the cannibals, they have their way of communication, like Hail Hydra sort of thing. That's like you got the human there on the menu, and they're like, "Oh yeah."
As much as this cannibalistic talk, which I brought up, so it's my own fault, is amusing. I wouldn't be. I think it'd be really good to probably take the next James Bond and place it as a period piece, place it back in the 60s, place it in an era where you can. Get rid of the crazy technology that we have, which just seems to be Deus Ex Machinas, and kind of get back to a little bit more basic and something probably a little bit more thoughtful in terms of how you can track people down and that kind of jazz. I just think it would make more sense. And in that respect, because you make it in those eras, you can play a little bit more easy with the gender roles as opposed to where we have now, where they just can't seem to make any men masculine and it's or females feminine anymore. But I think it potentially be a more interesting take on Bond than 2025 Bond.
I
Yeah,
agree
but if you set
100%.
it- If you set it during the 60s, it's just going to be the civil rights in America.
Yeah.
We didn't
The-
have
the-
those, so
The thing is,
yeah, just take him to Russia.
I agree 100% as Bond belongs in the Cold War, preferably
Yes.
in the 60s, maybe the 70s. But
Yeah.
he is supposed to be a guy who fought in World War II and then he's been recruited into MI6. And like that's what he's doing now. He's a soldier turned spy. That's what he should be.
Yeah, even the Living Daylights had some good Cold War kind of throwbacks with Eastern Europe and the communism within Eastern Europe and
Yeah,
Czech
I mean,
Republic and all that.
GoldenEye kind of moved it beyond that successfully, and it played on like that post-Cold War, like what's even the purpose of Bond, and like what does the world look like now? So that was all great, but like ultimately, he's better suited to that era, I think. So I agree. They would never change the gender roles, though. They would never have a female character playing like they were in the actual 60s. They just wouldn't allow it. It wouldn't play with modern audiences, or it wouldn't play with modern corporate approval boards.
That's
So
the
it would
thing.
never get away with it.
it would play with the audience.
Yes,
but
it probably
Yes.
would
never
play with
get
the
it
audience.
Which is the more important aspect. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone wants James Bond to attempt re-entry again.
This is why I'm not against having a figure like Barbara Broccoli completely in charge of everything, who just overrules and has complete control. I just don't think it should be Barbara Broccoli.
Maybe. No, this is a radical thought. Maybe don't have a woman in charge of James Bond.
Yeah.
It's just a radical thought.
But
Considering we get told that men can't write women, maybe we should have the conversation about women not being able to write men.
oh, you can't say that as that's
I
just,
just
wrong.
did. Hi Reddit.
No, it's exactly true.
Can
though.
they even
Like,
still link to YouTube? I'm not sure. They've banned
you
everything.
you can pretty much always tell a man that was written by a woman, like in fiction, because they act a certain way that real guys just absolutely do not. And it's like that inability to project yourself into someone who's radically different from you. That men have the same problem when they come to write female characters. It's just, as much as they hate to admit this today, men and women are a bit different from each other, and we see the world in slightly different ways.
Never liked that fight getting started. The whole like who men write women. When they say like men can't write women, it's like don't. If we pull up all the most famous and best written women of all time, you
Just
don't want to
leave.
check who wrote them.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Let's not have that fight.
No, but that's just the thing. That's the kind of place that we're at now, where we get told, oh, can't write a black character unless you're black. You can't write a female character unless you're female. But however, everybody that's black, female, gay, whatever, fucking outer Mongolian, everybody can write white guys. Absolutely fine. That's no problem. So yeah, it is absolutely stupid. It's funny. There was back in the few years ago when Joss Whedon was getting cancelled. Somebody posted, maybe we shouldn't have Joss Whedon writing Batgirl, because remember he was on to write the Batgirl movie.
Yeah,
maybe we shouldn't have Joss Whedon writing Batgirl. What's a man doing writing this female character, this young female character? And I just said to her, hi, do you remember the series Buffy that was
written by a woman?
Yeah, absolutely beloved. And then suddenly,
I mean, well, just iconic females of all time from fiction, and you'll be like, written by a man, written by a man.
Shit.
Like I said, you don't want to have the fight. There's no need. Let's not have that fight.
Let's not open that particular can of worms, I guess.
It is interesting that if you go on the MGM website, the Amazon MGM website, their featured franchises out of 8 are Bond, Rocky, Vikings, Stargate, and RoboCop. So all of those are very masculine franchises, in charge with Jennifer Salke in charge of them. It's like, you're the one that chose which ones are most important to you.
Rocky scares me. That's not good.
They can't. They just can't. Where could they possibly go with Rocky?
Oh yeah, they can. They don't want to, but they can.
Stargate SG-1, they will 100% do a reboot of that. I guarantee. And like everyone will be black, female, lesbians in wheelchairs.
I hope so.
Hey, luckily the Stargate's got a ramp up to it. So
I was going to say, yeah, it was always inclusive to disabled people, Drinker.
Dude, do you guys remember Doctor Who, where they introduced the ramp for the TARDIS?
Oh yeah. Wipe that from my memory.
I can't get over the woman in the wheelchair with the rocket launchers attached to it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
She's
just
handy
the ramp.
capable, okay?
It wasn't just the ramp into the TARDIS. The TARDIS itself was made so it couldn't have stairs or anything. So they had to make a massive set to have these wheelchair accessible ramps going all the way around that were never used by anyone in a wheelchair. It was like...
That's amazing.
It's because they kept throwing themselves off the top.
Just before we go on, there's a question here for you.
I hated his job so much, he went to America.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get onto that. There's a question here for you, Mauler. Since you referenced it in your Star Wars, the Force, what's that? TFW, the Force Awakens,
the Force
review?
Wibbles?
The Force Awakens,
wobbles.
Yeah. What do you think of One Punch Man?
So I think is it a third season coming out or whatever? Well, in any case, first season. In and of itself, as far as I'm concerned anyway, and this is going to be coming from someone who hasn't read the source, right? But like, it's a fucking wonderful season. It's one of my favorite seasons of TV, the first season of One Punch Man. It's such a complete story. And I like that it's like just an exploration and an answer to the question of how do you make a main character who is quite literally invincible and kills everything in one punch interesting in a superhero series of stories. Season 2, I don't know what's going on with me. I have tried to watch that like 3 different times in my life, and I can't get past like a first few episodes. And it's not because it's terrible. I just lose interest. I don't know what happened with season 2, but I just it doesn't feel the same whatsoever. So I adore season 1. One day I'll finish season 2 and have opinions on it, probably. I don't know. And then I don't even know if there's a season 3. So,
that's a ringing endorsement. It's like, one day I might have an opinion on this.
But not today.
Before we move on, should we check in on Mark Hamill and see how he's doing? All right.
Makes love cinema so much that we're all gathered here to celebrate tonight. For me,
this is live.
Films create worlds so vivid and stories so that we lose ourselves in them completely. They create immersive cinematic.
we really do create stories so vivid, don't we, Mark?
Yeah. Something nearly became vivid, Mark.
The cameraman is just thinking, I'm so glad I picked this angle and not a different one.
Doesn't it pan back, though, the camera? Like, let's see if we get as much in as possible.
You would think immediately just like cut to camera number 2 straight away. They're like, no, we need to show
audience,
this.
right? Just being like, oh, look at these fun. Yeah.
Poor Mark's not had the best of years, has he? So far.
I mean, at least make a joke about your lightsaber at this point. It's
you just think, like, God, how do you go up on stage in front of thousands of people and like not have your belt done up properly? Would you have not noticed?
Oh, I thought you were going to say not have your hair brushed, but okay, yeah.
Look, he styles himself how he wants to. Okay.
What gets me though is you can feel your trousers slipping unless they're so much. Like, they must have been coming down for a while. It's like, no, it's fine. I can get through this. Oh no!
Usually, if you're wearing like a loose pair of jeans or trousers or whatever, walking is what usually dislodges them and makes them fall. It's like, so he had to walk to the podium and he didn't notice.
He's drunk. He's probably drunk off his fucking mind.
Yeah.
Do you think everyone is when they do these award ceremonies? It's like,
I have to imagine they're pretty boring.
I think Mark's drunk as soon as he gets up in the morning to as soon as he goes to bed at night. I think that's when the period of Mark Hamill's drunkenness actually takes place.
It's like he wakes up, looks at CNN, and is like, "Oh fuck, Donald Trump's still president." Like,
when he won the election, he just ordered 4 years worth of.
4 years of Glenfiddich, please.
He just got like a silo with a little tube that goes directly to his bedroom.
It's just a straw that comes through as soon as he gets up.
Just think, that's the guy you're spending $500 to get his autograph for. Isn't that insane?
Yeah,
$500. I looked it up. He had $700 on specialty large items. $700.
Dude, the thing about that, it's kind of sad. Luke Skywalker means fucking everything to some people. So it's, that's how that happens. It's obviously going to be that. It's not, well, or the Joker, right? It's not going to be, what else is he in?
That's it.
He was in
the games back in the 90s. So,
he's known for Luke Skywalker and the Joker. That's pretty much Mark Hamill's career.
But yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel sad sometimes being like, oh yeah, I'll put my name on a thing.
I mean, I'd probably pay $500 to get him to sign a picture of Trump pulling down his trousers at an award. Just to see if he'd do it. It's like, well.
I would honestly like to walk up to him with a MAGA hat and just be like, this for me?
You could be like, for an extra $500, I want to record you doing it with your trousers falling down.
Like one hand gripping over the other side.
I was going to say poor Mark, but you know what? Not really. He's just.
I wonder if he thinks about what those words really mean to so many people, because obviously so many people are on the side he's not on. And I mean, yeah, Luke Skywalker is one of those few icons that so many people look up to and have, grown into the person they were because of him. And then he goes on and he rambles his mouth like he does. I wonder if he ever just sits back and thinks about those people, people. They're not things, they're not items, they're not numbers, they're people. That would be nice.
I think he's lost the ability to do that. a long time ago. I think now he's so consumed with rage and frustration.
Dude, I remember, I think it was 2014, I want to say. I was at my mum's for Easter, and she got me this R2D2 Easter egg. So it's just literally a chocolate R2D2. So I took a photo of it, and I added Mark Hamill in, and he actually liked the tweet. It's like, oh, what a nice little thing to do. I wasn't expecting it. Like, what a nice little thing to do from Mark Hamill. And then you think, oh, what happened to the guy? He just turned into a complete. He wasn't just like anti-people. He was actively saying, "Oh, we should hate these people. These people aren't real. These people aren't human. I should really specify. They should be treated like this and that." And it's just like, if ever there was a disconnect between who you are and the characters that you play, because I love Luke Skywalker as a character. Luke Skywalker's great. Mark Hamill's a fucking bell end.
Well, I'm also not really surprised that people in Hollywood hate people outside Hollywood. For me, it's a lot more, I can't believe you're stupid enough to tell everybody when you still need their money for all these roles. It's just a complete lack of business acumen. You think, no, I'll just offend everybody, it'll be fine. That'll be $20 million to get me to play the next role. No audience, thank you.
I mean, I kind of think like he just took it to the next level. Like with a lot of people in Hollywood, it's like, right, we're gonna pretend to care about this thing and like say all the correct the correct statements, all that sort of thing. But when you get right down to it, like, we know when to fold. Mark just took it like way too far. It's like, no, I'm gonna write this all the way to the end. And like someone needs to just take him aside and say, Mark, it's just an act, right? None of us really give a shit about any of this stuff. Like, we're just pretending.
But don't you think it's the most sensible thing for an actor when they're cornered by one of these quite blatant malicious media people that want to get their soundbite into their magazines, and they ask them something that's politically charged? You just think anyone with half a brain would just say, why would I answer a question that is going to alienate a proportion? If I agree with what you're saying, I'm going to alienate half of my audience in America. If I disagree, the other half. So to answer this question would just be divisive and stupid to do. Allow people to have their politics, allow people to think whichever way they want to think. My job is to entertain. My job is to put bums on seats at a cinema and hopefully give you a couple of hours of fun entertainment. Politics has got nothing to do with this.
Well, I mean, Brie Larson learned that lesson.
Oh, the hard way.
Yeah.
Sorry, more different from that though. Like, because the thing I was about to say is like, has anyone ever given the answer as just did? It was like in history.
Brie's the closest, I think. Like, she asked them questions back.
I feel like you guys give her more credit for her answer. She basically said, "I'm not going to say anything because I'll piss everyone off."
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Well,
this is a really stupid question for me to answer. It's legit.
What Az just said was way more diplomatic and the kind of thing I'd love to hear. What Brie said is like funny to me.
There was the guy that played Hannibal in the TV series. I forget his name. He did a movie where
Maz Mikkelsen.
Yeah, somebody asked him. He was making a role set in like Scandinavia, and they were saying this won't actually qualify for the Oscars because of their diversity requirements. Does this bother you? And he went, "Does it bother you? Because you're putting us on the spot here. So I'd like to hear your answer about it." And the guy doesn't. He had no response for it. He's like, "Well, probably not really." And I think just reflecting them back at the journalist, because they're after you to get yourself in trouble. So do it back to them. It's like, make them the focus of it.
Yeah, I mean, you made a really good video about this. Like, when basically saying, like, Brie Larson realized that the journalists are not her friends. Like, they're your enemy. They're just trying to get you in trouble. They're trying to get a soundbite that they can sensationalize. And that's all it comes down to. They're not there to look out for you, and they're not there to help you out.
No,
they are your enemy.
My favorite interviewer is the camp guy from Variety, who went, "Is this the gayest one?" Because they all love that kind of character. They love that, and it's really disarming to them. And so we can get them to say anything he wants in any interview.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he keeps getting these amazing opportunities, because he's not pleasant to listen to. How can I put it? He's got a very unique voice.
But it's a whole system. He's part of their system, and when you get into these people that ride the red carpets to ask the questions, the amount of how vacuous they actually are, There's a term which I was introduced to recently, the star fuckers. That's all they are. They're just so consumed with the with the whole ethos of stardom and celebrity that they just turn into these star fuckers, these vacuous smiles that are on the red carpet meeting these people to say the most inane things. So you're an Iron Man. What is your favorite Iron Man color? You know,
yeah. What you're seeing there is like two people having completely different conversations, right? So it's like the journalist asking a bunch of inane questions, the star promoting whatever movie they're trying to promote, just giving the pre-approved PR answers, and each person is just like saying the things that need to be said. Like they might as well just be playing a pre-recorded tape that they had in advance. Like that's all it is. There's no conversation there. Neither person really cares what the other's actually saying. The journalist is just going to wait for them to give their pre-approved answer before they move on to the next generic puffball question, and then they just get through the interview that way. It's not, neither person cares about what the other person's there for.
Well, the best one is Harrison Ford. Whenever they ask him any question, he goes, "I do it for the money."
Yep.
At least he's honest.
Well, yeah, that was his answer to Captain America 4, wasn't it? It's like, man, it's garbage. I'm just here to shoot this and go home, get my money.
I've never seen him care less about a project than Captain America. Oh my gosh. Talk about phoning it in.
He didn't seem too fucking interested in anything Star Wars related.
That had to have been his worst performance.
Because I think he wanted to kill off Han Solo way back in the original trilogy. So he didn't like that character. I got the impression Indiana Jones was his baby. Like he really liked that character and he wanted to do well by him. So man, it must have been galling to have done Dial of Destiny.
He was crying about how much he loved Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You remember that? He was talking about she's the future. You didn't see that? Oh, I'm
pretty sure he said that last movie was kind of his idea. He didn't want to come back until they had a new story, and he really liked this because it showed him sort of an optimistic arc for the character and a great ending. He was really celebrating that movie.
What?
Yeah, I don't know the exact quote
about that film. What, the end where him and Marion could cry over their fucking dead son?
Or where he traveled back in time and they could just save him by taking him home. He's like, no, I want to die here.
Yeah, I want to die here. I'm shit. I'm useless. My life's over. Just leave me here. You whamming it back in the 20th century. Wow.
I like how he had Schrodinger's gunshot wound as well. Like sometimes it was life-threatening. Other times he could just carry on and like move around as normal. It was interesting.
He isn't the only person that does that, though. John Malkovich also said, I think someone asked him a question like, why did you decide to enter the movies now, the Marvel movies now? He said, well, they paid me. If you want me to swing around on a crane for a while, you're going to have to pay me enough money.
Yeah.
So I know there was a lot of criticism for him as Red Hulk, but I don't think I've heard your guys' take. Did you think it actually looked good or not? Like on the big screen?
Red Hulk specifically?
Yeah, Red Hulk.
I didn't necessarily watch it on a big screen.
Nice.
Yeah. In between the slot lights commercials, it looked fine.
I mean, the whole thing around the Red Hulk thing was just so fucking annoying that you actually had this Rage Hulk for the first time in since 2017. So you had this first Rage Hulk in 8 fucking years. And as soon as he hulks up, what was it? You turn to some fucking bint in the crowd and she goes, are they red now? No, you'd be fucking pissing your fucking pants running, you dumb cow.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like, oh,
but it's funny.
Yeah,
but you could tell as well, like they had a different ending for this because like it literally ends with Sam just saying to him, hey, have you tried not being a Hulk? And he's like, okay. And just fucking changes it to Harrison Ford again.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
As he did in Falcon. He went, you need to do better, Senator. And in this, it's you need to do better, Mr. President. They just one trick to stop everyone.
Maybe that's his power. That's always it. He just runs around and you got to do better. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to hand myself in. Thank you for that wisdom.
Because, I think it's straight up, he even admits it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's like his entire ethos is like, I'm a black man who totally doesn't understand the nuances of this situation. I'm angry about something, and so you need to listen to me.
Yeah, it's like, what would you do? I don't know. I'm a fucking black man wearing the stars and stripes. I don't know what to do, but you got to do better.
Wasn't the line, correct me if I'm wrong, he says, I'm a black man in the stars and stripes, what don't I understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the most
Before he says,
bizarre,
I don't
like, what
understand
the
anything.
He also says you need to stop telling people to sort out a problem, and then he tells him to sort out the problem. Like he directly contradicts himself all the time.
Well, it's like
council, the GRC,
you need to step
whatever in
up,
that
that was it.
show. They have X resources and they're trying to get it to the people who need it, right? But there's all kinds of crazy logistic issues, including the fact that they're being blown up by terrorists semi-regularly. And all Falcon has to
gotta
say
stop
is
calling them terrorists, Mauler.
literally
gotta
do
stop calling
better.
them.
Like the most
Just people
useless
of random
fucking
explosions.
advice you could possibly give anybody on any job ever. Do
Yeah.
better. Fuck
No,
off.
it'd be funny if they sent a Egyptian running. Oh, fuck me, Captain Falcon, man. I wish I'd thought that. Oh, well done. You just saved the fucking United States of America, mate. Do you know what? I'm going to go into work next day. I'm going to do better. Thank you.
They were solving.
I've just been
one of the-
half-assing it up until now.
Yeah.
They were solving one of the most bizarre and insane problems ever. If half the population got blipped out and then back in after 5 years, right? Like property issues, your ownership of any given thing, like where's everyone go? How the fuck does any of that work? And Falcon's just like, yeah, fix it, do it. The Flag Smash's whole perspective was like, do better.
At one point, he says, you can change borders with a stroke of the pen. It's like, yeah, and an invasion force. If you want them to declare war on somebody, okay.
Well,
It's like,
he
it means
right,
if you can't enforce it, yeah.
He just starts talking about fucking insane civilization. He's like, you can just change all of money and all of paths and like
Yeah,
borders,
he did.
and power levels, everything. You just change everything you want.
It's literally down to that mentality of like, well, you could like generate infinite wealth if you just printed more money.
He was a
That's
step
what it
away
comes
from
down
saying,
to.
why don't you just make it legal to be good about everything? Just make good legal.
Yeah.
You can't
Gary,
be
I
evil, it's
think-
against the law.
I think Gary had been rewatching Falcon and the Winter Soldier in preparation for Captain Black American Man. And he said, like, and he was exactly right about this. He was like, that is legit the most spiteful, mean-spirited show that Marvel ever produced.
Yeah.
It is so laden with like divisive identity politics. It's so brimming with hatred.
Yeah.
It's amazing that got commissioned.
It destroyed Falcon and Bucky for the sake of like race relations, which had nothing to do with their relationship in the entire MCU up to that point. Remember, like they have Bucky say at one point, like, you know, me and Steve, when we talked about giving you the shield, we didn't realize what it means to hand it to a black man. Like,
we didn't realize you were black. Like, what?
He said that?
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't. Yeah. When and he said when Cap and I discussed giving it. It's like what? Sorry, what input did you have in giving the shield, Bucky? Does that mean that Cap actually went to you and said, "Hey, Bucky, you should have the shield"? And Bucky went, "Do you know what? We should give it to the black dude instead."
Yes. It's like that black guy looks quite angry. Let's give it to
Which,
him.
by the way,
we got to do
I didn't
better.
fucking write this show, but they made it so that he gave up the shield that Steve gave him and then stole it back.
Yes.
Why did they do that?
Stole it back because they gave it to a white guy.
A guy who deserved it far more than Falcon did.
A white guy that they treated so badly that he felt forced after his partner was killed that he had to take the serum as an equalizer because the people that he was sent to help were fucking hindering him left, right, and center, which ended up with his best mate being killed. And then they broke his arm, taking the shield off of him.
After
when he
they
killed the
broke his
terrorist.
arm, stole it, and then he got like dishonorably discharged, and they took his pension. He crafted his own shield, and he attached his 3 medals of honor to the inside, so that whenever he was blocking attacks, he would remember like who he is. I was just like, this is just Captain America.
That's a hero. That's a hero right there.
Falcon.
It's so funny when the writers try to paint someone as the bad guy, and it's like they're 100% right in everything they've done.
Yeah, they want you to think he's overzealous, antagonistic, of course, and like crazy and bitter, and that he didn't deserve the role, while Falcon does. And you just said like, I don't know, Falcon hasn't been tested like ever in a significant way, and he has like no flaws. This is something that when we were doing the breakdown on EFAP, I was like, holy shit, is Falcon a Barry Sue at this point?
Yeah.
I think he is.
He's
like, there's
cutting
nothing wrong with
missiles in
him.
half and exploding them on his face, and he's lolling through them.
He's impossibly invincible, hyper overpowered. Everyone likes him, and he has like nothing to overcome almost ever. And he's always like got the skill set and the attitude to overcome any situation. He fucking talked down a Hulk.
The one thing which would have been a weakness is when he keeps going, because a lot of people have, when you go, well, he should have had the serum. It's like, yeah, but he realizes that throughout the movie. It's like, no, he doesn't, because he says I should have taken the serum, and then at the end doesn't take the serum. Exactly. Like, if anything, you should have been like, no, actually, I do need this because I'm not enough, and I need help because things are bigger than me. It's like, no, but in the end, he just doubles down on it.
But why take the serum when you're just behaving like you've already on the serum?
Mm-hmm.
Because
it
he was
depends.
exactly
because there's never a moment like where the movie presents him with a physical challenge he can't overcome.
No,
there is.
You know, where he's like, oh man, I could have done this if I'd only had the serum. I would have been stronger and faster, and I could have beaten this guy or whatever.
Some people get somebody getting killed, right? What more motivation is there that you try to save somebody you don't? Batman. I don't know if you've ever read the comic Batman Venom, but this is a story from Legends of the Dark Knight where Batman actually gets addicted to venom because he tries to save this little girl that's trapped in a sewer. And he doesn't have the strength to lift the girders off of her, and she ends up drowning. So he deems himself a failure because he was unable to save this poor little girl, and so he resorts to taking venom pills to enhance his strength. And then he gets to the point where he's just become so addicted to them, and he realizes how removed he is from Batman. He stops actually wearing the Batman costume, and just goes out there pretty much just roided off his fucking Swede. That he eventually locks himself into a safe to go cold turkey to get off the venom. So in this instance, you know, we're here with all of these characters. There's no challenge. They are Mary Sue's or Gary Sue's. They have nothing to actually go against. What happened if he turned up at the beginning to try and get that adamantium back? And it ended up with, because he just said to the guys, the soldiers, I'm off, you know, see ya. I'm just going to do Falcon shit. And then they were killed. They were killed because of his rushing into the fray without thinking of the support, the backup, the men he has to protect. You know, maybe then he sort of said, I gotta do better, Senator. I gotta do better.
They do not care to fucking track their history. But do you remember that part of the movie where his wingman goes down and he's like, oh no, he's down. And then someone is like, you gotta go after the thing. And then he's like, okay. And then he says, is he all right? And they go, yeah, we got him. Yeah. It's very like chill. Do you remember the first piece of history we get about him is like the trauma he experienced losing his wingman with both Falcon suits in the middle of some operation. He told Cap about it, and it was like one of the worst things that happened to him. We literally watch it play out again, and he's like, oh man, is he okay? Okay, good.
That's the reshoots. I think there's probably a whole bunch of stuff there that was cut.
I'm just going to fly into some missiles without the serum and be absolutely okay.
The worst thing about that is that he like almost tells him, you know, you needed to do better. You gotta watch out for the skill. You gotta make sure you're doing everything at all time. And it's like, bro, you have an invincibility suit. I have the regular Stark tech. Yeah. Also, you have a spare vibranium suit, and you didn't give it to me. It's just hanging in his fucking Falcon cave, and he didn't give it to him. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Isn't there even a conversation in the movie where the guy's like, I want one of your suits? He's like, what? How are you even going to get there? You don't even have a contact. It's like, yeah, but you do. You just talk to them and be like, this guy really needs one of these suits because it's amazing and can save people's lives.
Yeah, I like this one as well. The writers decided the super serum is a metaphor for white privilege. Sam can't accept it because that would be abandoning his blackness.
Yes.
They forgot the whole reason Sam and Cap are friends is he's the first person to treat Cap as a fellow human.
Something we forgot to mention on the EFAP was kind of kicking my ass for it. Like, he says about Bucky and Steve that they both chose the serum and that he maybe should have as well. It's like, Bucky did not fucking choose the serum.
Bucky did not.
It's so fucking rude. He got experimented on. He got like his whole life uprooted and changed for decades into like a monster.
This shitty franchise has just like wasted the Winter Soldier. It's wasted Bucky
big time.
Ever since Civil War. They have no idea what to do with him, and he's just this guy who hangs around in the background. He's there to make other people look better now.
Well, he's like the last competent male hero left, really. I mean, can you think of another one?
I don't know, because you're absolutely right. You think Winter Soldier, you think go back to Captain America, the Winter Soldier. and how fucking awesome Winter Soldier was in that. You know, when he had his mask on, he had the Soviet fucking arm and all that kind of stuff. It was awesome. Now he's literally a guy in a black t-shirt.
He's tiny now too. You see how thin he is?
They keep
Jeez.
moving him second fiddle to somebody. He's always he's a supporting character like through and
Thunderbolts
through. They never
posting.
allow him to be a main character, which is what he'd earned.
But it's just kind of like Bucky. It's like when they're doing the names in Thunderbolt, and it's just Yelena. Like what?
Gosh.
You know, it's not even White Widow or just Widow or Black Widow or nothing. It's just Yelena. Marvel's Yelena in a frumpy fucking joggers, an oversized t-shirt. She's on a period. And she's just there with some s'mores ice cream to fucking eat her feelings. It's like, what are these characters anymore? She looks completely disinterested, don't want to be there. I think, and this is meant to talk people into seeing your fucking incoming flop of a Suicide Squad.
Thank God we've got David Harbour's Red Guardian.
Oh, gosh. Shut him
days.
down now.
I am stupid and ugly and fall over here.
So is Bucky, I heard originally that Yelena is going to be running the show with the Thunderbolts. Is Bucky going to be doing it? Is it going to be her? It better be him.
He's the protagonist. He's going to be like the second main character.
I think the poster said everything. He's off to the side, barely on the poster, and she's front and center in front of everybody.
Why?
It's going to be great.
But most of these characters,
do you guys like her?
Go on.
No.
Do you guys like her?
No, she doesn't
My
like.
friends
She
like
doesn't
her.
like
I
a
can't
job.
stand her.
She doesn't like being a widow. She doesn't like being a hero. She doesn't like anything. We've seen that from Black Widow when she did the landing. She's like, ugh, which is just another meta commentary on, oh, look how stupid the superhero landing is. It's like Deadpool. I mean, I know you don't like him, but Deadpool hit it the fucking nail on the head when it went, oh, look, it looks like a superhero that's not ashamed to be in a superhero movie. And this is what Marvel is. They're all inverted commas heroes. They're not, but they're all ashamed. You feel like they're all ashamed to be there. Bucky's ashamed to exert his power and his strength as the Winter Soldier. Yelena's ashamed to even be known there. Red fucking Guardian's ashamed to even act like a normal human being. You know, what is even Ghost and Taskmaster there for? Nobody gives a fuck. This is Black Widow 2.0, this movie. It's kind of fucking... Even John Walker, he does in no way resemble John Walker from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Not in the slightest. Now he's like, I'm a happy-go-lucky Walker, but I got no pension, I guess.
They're trying to morph it into the Suicide Squad. They want that quirky like team dynamic, and like it doesn't matter what the character's original arcs were. Just change them.
Yeah, Tommy, expand on your point. As you know, I'm tired of the unenthused superhero too. Just unenthused, uninspiring. You know, it's a privilege. It's a privilege that you're in a place where you can inspire others and to lead and to do
but
good
it shows
things.
Who's
Be
writing
happy.
them. It's the writers. This is just it. The writers are imprinting their absolute lack of any shit given about heroicism or what they perceive as heroicism, or these characters, or these universes. The way that the written, as Mauler said, you know, they said, oh, well, Bucky took the serum. No, he didn't. He was fucking kidnapped and experimented on, and he didn't know where the fuck he was for decades, going out, performing all these things. They don't watch the fucking own films. They don't even care to, because it's just, oh, yeah, I need to imprint my nihilism onto this inspirational event, which is heroes. We need to tear them down to our level of utter apathy and disdain for the audiences, for the people that have propped these up for decades, all this kind of stuff. And it just shines through with every fucking script. Nobody's got a character anymore. Nobody is a character anymore. And that's why people are wanting your Iron Man back and your Captain America Steve Rogers back. Because when they actually came into the MCU, they exhibited heroicism. It dripped off them. They were characters you like. Do you know what? I might be a fat fucking bastard, but I would go to war with Steve Rogers right now because he's an inspirational force to be followed. You know, you can understand the relationship between Cap and Iron Man and how it dissolved and how it got built back up again. And all of these great things which happen. And now they're just all dust. Everything's just fucking dust. And we've got a bunch of bored, unfucking interesting Mary Sue, Gary Sue characters that don't have any arcs. They don't go through any hardships. They don't possess any element of heroicism whatsoever. And it gets literally bukaked onto a fucking cinema screen. And we're told, eat the slop. Eat this slop. And if you don't like it, we'll come out the cinema and call you a bigot.
Amen.
Marvel.
They've never thought about what a hero is.
Glorious.
All of their kind of belief system is just like little epithets that they've heard throughout their life that they've internalized. Like things like power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. They've never thought whether that's true or not. So they see power as evil, and they forget things like Captain America, the actual one, going through the whole, we need to make sure this is a really good power. It has to go to a good person, otherwise it's going to be horrific. And instead they do things... They see it more through the racial lens, so he can't be weak. He can't have anything interesting about him because of that. Whereas the villains, who are the white guys, have way more interesting arcs because they can be weak, because they can explore other angles which you can't do in characters which are very strictly, this has to be good, otherwise we're going to be called racist. If you remember Robin Hood series, best character in that was supposedly the villain who they just persecuted the entire time. Yes. And he goes to him and goes, can you please stop kidnapping my son? I don't know what I've done. I'm like, you deserve it. And...
Oh, is this the Robin Hood on Netflix?
Yeah, John Prince did nothing wrong.
No.
And I'll die on that hill.
That show, man. I'd forgotten about Robin Hood. Thank you for reminding me. There was one other thing I wanted to ask you guys about. Doctor Who. It's a British institution. It's been around for 62 years at this point, and it's been run into the ground in recent years. We were all excited to see Russell T Davies come back. He was gonna resurrect the franchise. He was gonna bring it back to its former glory. I mean, this is the guy who brought it back after a 15-year hiatus. But it turns out he didn't really, and it was just identity politics shoved down our throats with a new doctor who seemed to be a bit of an incompetent idiot for the most part. He spent most of his time crying. And we seem to be now in the point where they have finished shooting season 2. It's not come out yet, obviously, of the 15th Doctor's run. But that might be it. Apparently, Ncuti Gatwa wants to leave. He's on the way out. Russell T Davies is probably going to follow him, and according to the latest rumors, the BBC is going to shelve the show for at least 5 years. Not before time. I hope this is true. I hope all of this comes to pass, actually, because, man, this show is just dead. Dead as it can possibly be.
It is rather suspicious that Russell T Davies, around the same time we get these rumors, has announced, I'm doing a Channel 4 series now.
Yes.
So it definitely seems to be tied together. I can understand Ncuti Gatwa wanting to do American movies. Most British actors seem to want to go over to America at some point anyway. It is weird to me. He's never really seemed to care about the character as a whole, even right from the start. It was all he was never the Doctor. The Doctor was him. Everything was about showcasing him and his personality, and he just played the same roles as everything else. I'm glad that it's gone. The last series was. It's why when you said the most hateful Marvel show before, there's many competitions for that. You had
Secret
Valma.
Invasion was pretty hateful.
Yeah, Secret Invasion and this. And that last series was full of so much identitarian stuff in every single episode. He never saved a character. In any episode. He cried in every single episode, multiple times in some of them. And when I was doing my video, I was so spoiled for choice of the clips that I could use to show it, I had to just stop. Otherwise, the video could have gone on forever. So I don't want any of them back, frankly, and I think it breaks for the best.
Yeah.
Well, Russell T Davies has been clamoring for a third season for a while now. He's been begging Disney and the BBC to push on a third season because this actually got 2 seasons from Disney, £100 million to spend on them, and then they went very quiet after the first season. So after the first season, with the second season guaranteed, he was already begging for them to renew it. Nothing came of that whatsoever. It never popped a rating on the Nielsen charts for Disney Plus, so it clearly failed miserably there. It went further down in the UK. This year's Christmas special was seen by approximately 1 million less than the previous one from him. So he's at an all-time low. The show now holds a record. Shooting at was Doctor now holds records for, I think, the 3 lowest viewed episodes of Doctor Who of all time out of the bottom 4. And then if you go on to the top 10, it's something like 6 out of the top 10. So it's absolutely dead. This isn't a show. Nobody cares. Doctor died probably 2017, 2016 after the first season of the 14th 14th Doctors.
And you know how with a lot of these we'll say like, oh, this will be studied or this will be tracked and this will be put into a book someday. It's like, this is the one that you really can say that about, because it's almost now at the point of being shoved away forever and you'll never see it again. Like they took a long time, they've killed it very gradually, and now it's just fucking beyond dead.
There's ways you can fix it.
Well, yeah, there is, but like it requires getting rid of people like Russell T Davies.
Yes.
Because like I've seen so many interviews with him where literally all he talks about is the fact that he's a gay man and he wants to work that into the storylines. And he admits multiple times, like, I can't conceive of any other way of seeing the world than mine. That's it. It feels natural to me, and that's the only thing I can write about. And I just thought, isn't that fascinating as a creative force and a showrunner, that you can literally only see the world from the perspective of your life. Like, your life is the only way that you can imagine anyone living. And that has to be reflected in what you write. You couldn't possibly write characters that are different from that. It's amazing to be so narcissistic that that's what your focus becomes.
I'd say, like, on the notion of fixing it, I don't think it would save it if they had a full season of good episodes come out. I feel like even that it's just too late. Like, nobody gives a shit anymore, and that's why a gap is probably the way to go. Because if in 5 years plus they say like, we're bringing a new season of Doctor Who, at least everyone will be like, okay, well, who's making this one, and is this a new attempt, new fresh start? You know, let's see how this goes. Versus right now, if you drop a really good season of TV, I just don't think people are going to care anyway. They'll be like, eh.
I think the issue is, even if you replace the people that made Doctor Who, you've still got the BBC there overseeing everything, controlling everything. I don't actually think it can change until you got rid of the BBC as an institution, or made them care about advertisers, so got rid of their entire funding model, so they had to care what people thought. There's even 10 years, I'm not sure they'll be able to fix it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like, up until Doctor Who, I'd been fairly just disinterested in the BBC. Like, I just didn't care one way or another. But like, that show actually made me despise the very essence of what they are. The fact that we, as British people, as British taxpayers, we are literally fucking forced to finance these dog shit shows, and we have to pay for it. That's it. I think, of course, they're going to keep making garbage like this because they've got no reason not to. It doesn't matter if no one watches it, because we fucking have to pay for it.
And it's getting worse it's getting worse in the future, because while at the moment it's the license fee, they were now looking at it, and one of the things that were raised was just making it like adding on a tax to Netflix.
Tax,
and stuff.
Yeah.
So they either make it a general taxation, or when you pay for Netflix, you are also paying for Doctor Who, which is wild.
Wow. Has this gone to the point where it's so bad that it's tarnished your love for the older content?
Certainly not looking to reprise it. I would, go back and watch certain episodes or certain seasons before, and since all this Whittaker nonsense happened, I haven't touched any of that. I don't think it is beyond repair, in as much as it does probably need a 10-year gap, or certainly a substantial gap in years, at minimum 5, but most likely around 10. And then if you were to bring it back, you'd have to bring it back with people with the right intentions, and you'd probably have to fever dream after Capaldi, or even, unfortunately, fever dream Capaldi out as well, because he was a great Doctor with some poor material, and just literally kind of go into maybe sat next to a kid, just explaining to this kid that it was just some sort of master fever dream, or the Vanguard got involved, or Valiard got involved, or something along that line. And then you just kind of like, right. And then you realize that the kid's actually this wanted space alien. And then he just sort of drags them in. Then you start the adventure off from there. You literally hard reset it.
It is going to be, bringing it back in any capacity is going to be tough, though. And I kind of agree with Muller's assessment that once you poison people's love towards a franchise like this, once you've made it so divisive and made it so obvious that the makers of this show fucking hate you as the audience, it is really difficult to then get back into it. It's really difficult to build that trust again with them.
Yep. And going to Brawler's question, whether it affected things, the rest of it didn't. The issue is when you brought back Davis and Tennant, it did make me think less of both of those. It was the same problem with Secret Invasion. When you bring back the actual actors and then destroy them, that's what affects the previous work for me, rather than doing another regeneration with an entirely new showrunner and stuff. I can mentally split that. And I do think with what Critical Drinker said about people only being able to see things from their perspective, Tennant is another one of those people. And the more you have in your head that people don't think the same way, everyone seems to assume that everyone sees the world like them. They don't. Some people are just incapable of seeing other people's perspectives. You notice it everywhere. And I do think it's responsible for a significant part of the problem in Hollywood, that you've just hired a load of people who... Because if you only hire people of one leaning, it might just be that leaning has more of one problem. That's what makes them believe that kind of stuff in the first place. And I think that's essentially what's happened. You've hired a load of people who are deficient and can't actually... perceive these stories. They can't understand them, they can't think about them, and so they can never fix them.
The fascinating thing that's come out is this. I think you referenced it in your video, even this article in the Radio Times about how Doctor Who needs to be woke, and there's a reason every sci-fi fan should agree. And essentially their premise, because it's so funny, right? You go through this like stages of admission of what the real message is here, right? And it's usually like, no, it's not happening, and then, well, maybe it's happening, but that's a good thing. And then eventually you end up as like, yeah, it's been happening all along, and you're just too stupid to understand it, you pleb.
And then it needs to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And they just like skipped straight to that final stage of like, yeah, well, it's always been woke, okay, and it's always had this stuff in it, so why don't you get that? And like it tries to redefine this whole understanding of what, you know, the modern parlance for what woke is, where it's like overbearing political lectures that get forced into every piece of fiction. They're trying to like redefine it as, well, no, it's just an awareness of like social injustice. And of course, Doctor Who's been fighting against that forever because it's that anti-capitalist, empirical ideas in it. The small guy fighting for freedom against the evil tyranny, all that stuff. It's like you're trying to equate like universal philosophical ideas of like self-determination and you know, freedom of speech with these very partisan modern day political like bits of propaganda that are getting shoved into everything. They are 100% not the same fucking thing. But you're trying to redefine the meaning of words to make them mean what you want them to mean so that they can back up your shitty argument. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that pisses me off.
It's one of the most extreme examples of sort of Mott and Bailey argument I've ever seen, where she kind of goes, well, woke just means you're aware racism exists in the world. So therefore, you must agree with all of this. And by the end of the article, she literally says every single thing ever made out all of history has been woke. I'm like, wait, what? It's like... No, you just didn't realize it. So again, well, if you agree with this, you must agree with everything else that I say in the rest of the article.
The crux of it is, it's the old argument of like, well, sci-fi has to hold a mirror up to our modern day society. It's like, no, that is the fucking the scummiest argument that you ever get in situations like this, right? Science fiction presents you with different perspectives. It gives you a different lens to look through current issues with, from a different perspective, from a sci-fi perspective, and it removes them from current day context, and it allows you to see things and think about things from a different point of view. It doesn't force you to think a certain way. It doesn't project ideas onto you, and it doesn't say, well, if you disagree with this, then you're clearly a monster. That is what good science fiction does. It makes you think. It doesn't tell you what to think.
There's also, if I remember, I don't have the article in front of me at the moment, but I think she says it's supposed to hold up a mirror to our society. Otherwise, what's the point? And then about 2 paragraphs later goes, we use the entertainment for escapism.
Yes.
One.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if there's an element of like hyper childishness with all these writers where they just want to say, you know, Picard would agree with my politics, actually. You know, fucking your Rocky, Rambo, they both agree with my politics. Super Mario would agree with my politics.
Oh, God, that's the movie Bob argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mario would be so sad the way gamers are treating people now.
There was that weird comic book artist or writer recently, the 73 years old, just decided at 73 to come out as trans. And then we're like, Jack Kirby would agree with protect trans kids. And you're just like, no, Jack Kirby wouldn't know what the fuck you were talking about for a start.
Dude.
Because this is a whole modern day fucking thing that you just brought in.
It's the
Dude,
law.
my
I don't know.
one with that is when they say shit like Doctor Doom says trans rights.
Yeah.
What?
The
I'm a
rainbow
monster, but
stormtroopers.
I'm evil, but I'm not a monster. But Chucky actually did that, didn't he? Chucky did that. It was just like, I might be evil, but I'm not a monster. And Chucky with his non-binary child, and he's just like, what? This is you're giving yourself
ultimately.
away.
Yeah, ultimately, articles like this are just the end point of we are losing control of the narrative, and we know that the tides are turning here, and we are mad about it. That's all it is. And they're mad because now people have pushed back against this particular ideology that they hold so dear. And they don't know how to cope with it now. And the only way they can do it is to say, well, everything that you've enjoyed up until this point has agreed with me, so why don't you? That's all it is. It's the guilt trip.
Luigi, Mario, and Bowser.
Yeah.
Wait, if I could ask a question, Drinker, because I've never watched Doctor Who. My family and we've just never been interested. I've been going to cons ever since I was a kid, and that's the only Doctor Who I've ever seen, and that's definitely a scary side of it, I think. But what about Doctor Who like fascinates you guys? Why are you so into it?
So, like, I think for British people, it's very much one of those things that you grew up with, because it's been around for so long that, like, you know, it's older than any of us here on this panel. And it's one of those things, like, as a kid, you always had like childhood memories of watching whatever Doctor was like the current one at the time. And you'd be fighting the Daleks or fighting like the Cybermen or the Sea Devils or God knows what other like goofy, like rubber-faced monster they had for that week. But it was all fun. Like, it was low budget, but it was great British entertainment. And it became a British institution. And the more decades that passed, the more beloved it became, I think. And that's what I think most of us have as an attachment to it. Like, I do not pretend to be like a super fan of Doctor Who, where I know every character and every like plot point and everything. But I remember watching it a lot as a kid, and just it had a lot of enjoyment. And most British people probably have the same experience to some extent.
Yeah, it was intrinsically British culture.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the comedies. Red Dwarf, for instance. There was someone did a fan song, and one of his lines is the Doctor fighting anything that's not very expensive, and that is essentially the show.
Yeah.
The TARDIS travels in space and time. It can go anywhere. You can set up anything. It's the same kind of thing as Star Trek and a ship. You can go to another world and set up an entirely new situation. And so you have the freedom to make any storyline with the most intelligent, wisest person in the entire universe. And so you have the comparison of the companion who knows nothing and is basically the audience with this other guy who has seen everything to the point where he can't see it anymore. So he only brings them along so he can view the world through their reaction. And I don't think there's another show that does that. But you find the British people love tradition as it is. So something that's been around that long, even if it's difficult to put into words why people like it, we like the tradition, and it's sort of... It means more than just a random TV show and alias. It becomes an institution that people sat around every Saturday with their families watching. And I think you have that goodwill with the show.
Yeah, and there's other other franchise and whatnot that reinvent the same character, but the Doctor literally reinvents himself, which is different. It's not an actor taking on the role and like, I'm adapting James Bond to this. The Doctor itself, the personality of the Doctor changes. I won't repeat what other people have said, but yeah, this is a quintessential British thing. There's so many pop culture elements in our society today that originate from America. They originate from the other side. This is one. It's like James Bond. This is one of those things that is such quintessentially British. And you have this guy been around 60 plus years, 65 years now, and every so often we're going to see this person reinvent themselves. We're going to place them in all kinds of different adventures. And Doctor Who has been very much kind of like the Star Trek vein, that it will bring up social situations, but not social justice per se, until recently, where it kind of got into that aspect, where once upon a time we would see things, we'd see injustices, or we'd see fun, and it was always done in a perspective to make you think. And that art has now been lost because we're no longer allowed to think. We're being told how our opinion used to be. And so this wonderful kind of like time, space, different planets or different time, go back to Robin Hood times, you go back to another planet with just this whole race that you're trying to understand their culture, how they exist, how they live, how does a human adapt in that with a companion, what questions can be asked of that, and this wonderful intelligent man who is gonna save the day, and that right there and then that you can look up to, and it's an aspirational thing, and this aspirational guy has just been torn down now to the literally the retardation of the writer or the showrunner that has unfortunately got hold of them.
I think it's the difference now is it's the difference between justice and social justice. Like social justice is everything needs to be equal, everyone's the same interchangeable cogs in the machine, and you swap things out and nothing matters. And so we have to drag everyone down to the same level. The Doctor was justice traveling the universe, and he would always get it correct because of his wisdom. He's seen everything. Yeah. And so you could trust him on that opinion, but he will be a guy who's like, you need to stop destroying, you need to stop doing this evil stuff. Like, no. He's like, no, you really need to. I'm warning you. You do not want to face me. And if they went no, he would just wipe out your entire species. This is not a social justice.
I started up in 2005 rather than earlier, like some of you guys. So, but I was still way into it. Now that's actually like fucking at the point of being considered old, I guess, just because of how time moves. But the big appeal for me was strictly the character, the fact that you have someone that's basically embodying like an intellectual sort of courage with no matter where he goes, whatever adventure, he's always ready to take the situation and do what he can to make it better to him. And simultaneously you have like the awe of exploring all of these weird, wacky, and amazing worlds and all these different conundrums morally, but he'd always find a way to move through it, help the people as best he can. And you have this wonderful benefit in the show that the brain usually wins out. It's not like, brawn or brute like or horrific, malformations of whatever kind of ideologies he might come across. He'll find a way to dismantle it, untangle it, and help people along the way. And the fact that with each adventure you could get horrifying ones or ones that take a serious toll, he's always up and ready for the next one, sort of thing. And he'll like it's almost, he makes like adventure and conflict seem like such a almost simultaneously fun and, as Disprue mentioned, a just sort of cause. You just watch him infinitely fixing the world with his brain and his courage. And then, of course, the aspect that I always found super interesting was whatever he came up against a particularly tough enemy or one that won't change, the darker side, the more
like the Fobwatch episode.
That is the important aspect of the Doctor, is the danger of him.
Yeah.
The fact that he is got the facade of being like this jovial, eccentric British gentleman, for the most part. But when the chips are down, he will do some pretty fucking horrific things for the greater good. And he has to live. Yeah, but he's had to live with that many, many times over in his lifetimes. And that weighs on him. It weighs on his soul as a character. Certain actors are able to convey that a lot better than others. I don't get the impression that Jodie Whittaker could do it or that Ncuti Gatwa could do it, because I don't think they give a shit about the character or his history. They just see it as an acting role. It's a chance to advance my career. All good.
Matt Smith was incredible as a young actor, because he took on the role at 26, or he's offered it at 26, started filming at 27, whatever it was. But he was a young actor, and it just shows how great an actor he is, because you saw this young man, and you've never seen such an old soul portrayed in a young man. You saw the thousands of years in the Doctor in his eyes, and the way that he responded and behaved and acted, and that is just quality that you can see. You can have this regeneration into somebody so young, but have the weight of all the years and all the Doctors that have come before then. And that's a great trait of the previous Doctors, is they would always have traits of the other ones, even though they've created their own brand new personality of the Doctor. It never betrayed the other Doctors, whereas Whittaker's did. It was an instant betrayal of all the other doctors that came before it, because Stephen Fry says to her, he's playing a character, and he says to her, "I thought the Doctor was a man," and her response is, "I've had an upgrade." So it was an immediate diminishment of the doctors that had come before. His immediate dismissal and like as we said earlier, tearing down of everything that the Doctor had been, bringing it down to their level, as opposed to her trying to elevate herself to be one of the other Doctors, and that's where it got to.
I think a lot of the storylines are sort of the difference between masculinity and sort of femininity. It was far more happy-go-lucky, emotional crying later on, whereas the earlier ones were, I am the most powerful man in the universe, I can do anything, even things I shouldn't, and I need to control that. So I have the power to be a monster, but I should only use that when people deserve it, where it's definitely there. And that's why I bring up the Fobwatch episode, because he literally hid himself to protect the evil villains from him and what he knew would do to.
What they've done with Doctor Who is exactly what they've done with Star Trek, right? They took characters who were often very professional, very stoic, and the rare occasions where that mask slipped a little bit, it was very meaningful, because you knew something had really rocked them to their core. And now, with things like Star Trek Discovery, everyone's crying constantly, everyone's talking about their feelings, everyone's hugging and breaking down and having these big hysterical outbursts. So it means nothing anymore. And it's the same with Doctor Who. Like, the Doctor is constantly crying now. Like, everything upsets him. I mean, he's constantly like at a loss for what to do. And so he, as a character, means nothing now. His emotions mean nothing because he expresses them all the time.
The interesting thing about that is Davis did meet Alex Kurtzman, and he went, "I've just started watching Star Trek." Yeah, I started with Star Trek Discovery, and I think it's amazing. I love everything you've been doing with new Star Trek. So those two franchises are in line with each other. They wanted to do a crossover at one point when they were talking about that panel. So.
When David Tennant was a normal human being and not this crazy weirdo that he is now, I mean, the disillusion of the 10th Doctor was incredible to see. Yeah. This Doctor that came in that was part of the Time War, but just he was this happy-go-lucky. Everyone loved the guy. The way that he would be with his companions, the way that he dealt with situations. We had the family and blood thing that Disbird mentioned. But then when we got to his specials at the end, and we got to things like the Waters of Mars, the guy had
the end of that episode was incredible.
This is the disillusion of the Time Lord. This was a guy who was just kind of crumbled to the power. His kind of take from the Time War was, I was the winner. I wasn't the only guy that lived. I'm the winner. And therefore, if I'm the winner, I'm going to create the laws of time and space because I'm able to. And therefore, and then the way he started to refer to humans as little people, the great little nuances with language there. That he literally got to the point where he thought, I can go into there were things called fixed points in time that even the Doctor cannot change what happens. But he pushed himself into a fixed point in time and altered it, which went completely against what the laws of time and space and the potential repercussions which could materialize because of that. And even the human, one of the women, understood what he had done and understood that this Time Lord Victorious was wrong, was you've gone against what you stand for. That she, who was meant to die back on Mars, went into her own home and took her own life to balance the books, which was just some amazing storytelling.
It's pretty dark, even for Doctor Who, that episode.
No, but that
was great.
That was my favorite part of Doctor Who, when it did things like that, and it was discovering like the limits of morality and where you could go up to successfully with basically the main guy in the universe at that point. And the way the Tennant had that weight, which a lot of the other actors didn't after Capaldi, and where he's on the Titanic and someone's like, "Who put you in charge?" And he just reels off, just fire in the background all of his titles. Such a great moment. Or when Abs was talking about, she says, "No one should have that power," and he's tough. And then she does that, and it just snaps him out of it.
Yeah,
and he suddenly realizes, "I've gone too far. Are you coming too far now?"
Yeah. And he kind of feels that his penance is ultimate regeneration. His penance for what he's done is his impending doom.
Live too long.
You have I don't know, I think it was Davis that was still in charge during that, and then you compare it to his new stuff, like you are an entirely different person. You now, even from his own words, cannot comprehend what he was like then, and it's the same man. How that happens bewilders me, but it's happened to so many people.
It's having the constraints of expectation put on you, and knowing you need to make a success out of the show. Whereas when he came back, it's like, well, it's already well established, and I'm a much bigger name now, and I'm older, and I'm just going to indulge myself. I'm just going to make the stories that I want to tell, and this is what you get. Every story is about identity and sexuality and all that crap, and it's just it does nothing for the average person.
Did you like the subtle messaging where he saved the planet against the slug eaters? The slugs that eat people, for them to go, sorry, we can't go with you because you're black.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, but if you don't, you'll die. And like, we know.
We know. We'd rather die than go with a black person in your TARDIS to safety because minimum white people.
Yeah.
And that episode gets worse if you rewatch it because there is all these little hints that they put through the show. They talk about like decontamination of the zone and stuff. Like, oh, okay, I know what that means.
Yeah,
now.
we think we get that now. Yeah.
So I mean, like they probably started out with that premise, like, okay, we need to work a racism angle into this somehow, and then just constructed the rest of the story around that.
Would they say that? They said when we cast Cutie, we couldn't just not talk about it. So we had to do a story around it, and they were proud of that.
And don't you think like? Sorry.
The next 4 writers for the next series are worse. They have no experience. One of them is just a poet. It's like, do you write TV shows? No. Do you have anything? No. At most, they have about 4 things that they've done over the last 4 to 6 years, like random episodes of TV.
One's a winner of Channel 4 writing competition, and that somehow like entitles her to be in charge of like a major
badge.
multi. Yeah, it's like I collected 5 ring pulls. Okay, like I should be able to.
Speaking of Waters of Mars, like it's not just a good episode on its own. It's like it's been built up because the storyline has been bubbling throughout like all the prior seasons. With he has to make several decisions across a lot of them. Remember, was it a Christmas episode? I think it was, right, with the giant spider lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
The runaway
Catherine Tate.
Get a big old hint of what kind of character he is in that episode. On what he's thinking about, and then of course, as mentioned, Family of Blood, different conflicts that push him to making very, very similar decisions. Then you finally get like, I'd say Midnight is helpful along the way too, in terms of just how much he does not like losing control.
Yes.
And so, yeah, when you hit Waters of Mars, to me, it's just like this has been coming. This is a long time coming. I love the episode for how he throughout it, he knows they're all going to die. He knows it's a fixed point in time, and he's listening to like screams at certain points, being like, "This is so fucked up that I can't do anything." And then just the speech of being like, "The laws of time will obey me."
They'll obey. And he screams
all
it.
That work, you know, like across the seasons, the idea with the character arc, it's all so fundamental about the nature of power and then the consequences of such. Especially when
it's not just power. It's also him being on his own. That's just like, well, why does he always have a companion with him? Because previously it goes, well, it's just so he can see the universe. But in this, it was how he will fall without one. So you had a Catherine Tate episode where they went back to the spider one and showed that without her being there going, Doctor, you can stop now, he would have just watched them all die and they would have drowned.
Yeah, and he would die in the process as well.
Yes, like he was that dark, that far gone, that he needed someone around him to be like, I don't know what you're doing, but this seems too much.
It also shows that how much the Doctor needs to regenerate as well. I think it's a good lesson in why the Doctor needs to invent himself, why he needs to go through the regeneration process. It's literally like a reset on why I do this and who I am. And
it's almost a commentary on tradition, that tradition, even if you don't understand why it's there, it's sort of the accumulated wisdom that people have had across the generations.
Yeah.
And so you may not know why you're doing this thing, but you're doing it because all of those, it was like an evolutionary benefit that helped you to get where you are. And so as he regenerates, he takes what he's learned previously and morphs it into a new personality.
Yes.
I just wanted to share this super chat. It was in relation to what we were talking about earlier with the journalists and so on who wanted to push a particular perspective on Doctor Who. From August Lyon says, Guardian article, studies showed that only 10% of the populace are liberal progressive activists, i.e. they're a minority. The article also showed that they are the least likely to change opinions, i.e. they're worse than the far right that they claim to be fighting against, which is interesting.
Only 10%. That's not very much. That's insane.
But man, they make a lot of fucking noise for themselves.
Damn.
Well, that's the thing. They give the perception that they are the dominant ideology, and so people obey what they're saying. That's why censorship and stuff was so important, because it suppressed the majority and it made them seem more powerful.
Honestly, I think that's been on the slide ever since Musk bought Twitter.
Yes.
That has been such a major catalyst for like a shift in perspective. Once you don't have those thumbs on the scales anymore, wow, what a difference it makes.
Blue Sky Drinker?
Yeah, sure.
I assume for a second there you're like, what is that?
Blue Sky, I live in Scotland.
Apparently it's a massive haven for PDF files, if you catch my drift. So I've got no interest in going there.
Strange how those two things go hand in hand.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Tell you what, though, how about we do a few super chats before we finish up today, because there's a whole bunch of them that come here in the course of this little stream, so I'll try and answer a few.
I think it was time to wrap up the Doctor Who episode there.
Yeah. Let's just talk about every single episode. Let's see the first one. Hypno Hype. Greetings, comrades. It's my birthday today. I was wondering what your favorite birthday gifts are. Thanks for always being awesome. Well, anything with booze that I can drink is pretty good for me, so I'm fine with that.
Birthday gifts. I got a hot toy once. That was a great birthday gift.
I got
not sexually.
Which one was it?
It was Anakin Skywalker. He was good looking.
It's a blow up doll.
Not like that, man.
The
Not
hottest
like
of toys.
Transformers, obviously. Duh. Come on now. And happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah. Have a good one, Hypno Hype. Jack Chipper. Drinker. Craig is unsuitable to be Bond. He's short. Also Drinker. Oh, wow. Tom Cruise was great as Ethan. Tom is 4 feet tall. Yeah, because Ethan Hunt is a different character from James Bond. I don't know how to describe that to you. Get me some crayons on a chalkboard, everyone.
Man. I'm real curious to see how this last one's going to do. I'm real curious.
Yeah.
I hope it does well.
I think it will attract a lot of attention because it's his send off. So,
yeah, we'll see.
I'm there for Haley Atwell and her two eyes. Anyway, also Jack Shipper says, jokes aside, Craig is the best because he acts confident on camera, while in real life he's nervous and has social anxiety. All other actors are already confident. I don't think that makes him the best Bond.
I've never heard that metric before.
Yeah. I mean, that might make him a good actor. It doesn't necessarily make him a good Bond, though.
Yeah, he's also into women when he's in a Bond movie, so that's interesting.
TGS. Greetings, gents. Has a film or an actor won an Academy and Razzie Award for the same project? Would guess the Amelia Perez is a hot contender? Well, that's a good question, actually. There's bound to be a few.
I don't think after the Hitler remarks they're gonna get the award at the Oscars.
No, probably not.
But,
they must be so regretting that decision now. Can they revoke the nomination? Is that something you can do?
Well, they are a man, so they shouldn't be in that category in the first place.
And we just got demonetized there.
You said cunt earlier.
Samael has joined up as a new member, so welcome to the Fellowship of the Drink. Thanks, man. Matthew Leach says, hail drunk men and panelists. Test for Mahler. Summarize Multiverse of Madness issues in detail within 30 seconds. Also EFAP an Oscar film like The Substance or Anora.
The film is entirely broken from start to finish in every possible way you could ever imagine.
Give us examples, Mahler.
What the?
Are you Chris Stockman? This movie was good because I think it was nice.
All the characters are hyper retarded and act out of character. The plot line is completely filled with holes and stretches. The theme is all over the place, backward and kind of counterproductive. The world building is the worst in the MCU ever since like fucking any multiverse movie other than that one. Good enough.
That's fine. That's better. Nice. Next one is K. Schwabel. Bond's going to be a buff, bald billionaire manlet. That would be funny if it was, actually. He's going to a large online company. Mikey Gustler says there have been many reports recently that Johnny Depp will return as Jack Sparrow for a Pirate 6 film alongside Orlando and Kira. Do you think this is Disney testing to see if there's a huge fanfare that the film will happen? I mean, if they did do that, I think they'd make $1 billion easily out of that one.
Really?
To get Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley back,
Yeah.
reassembling the old band, I think they could probably do it.
I think it'd do well too.
I don't know, man. Like, he was in all the Pirates films, and they started to slowly collapse.
Yeah, but the others weren't, though. You know, they need that trifecta of people to balance off each other. And to get them all back...
I don't remember you being an Orlando Bloom stan.
I love him more than life itself, Mark. He's a beautiful man. No, I just think, like, there's going to be something to be said for getting the original cast back together for a full-on movie. Especially with the amount of time that's passed, like, I think the anticipation would be there.
They are doing everything right now.
The more interesting thing is, like, who's going to be writing and directing, right?
That's going to factor into it a lot, yeah.
I mean, they're doing everything right now. It would not surprise me. I guess they're doing a new Gremlins, and that's one of the last few that are left. It's like, okay.
Yep. That one's down now as well.
Honestly, if you could get Johnny Depp and Amber Heard into the movie, I'd pay to see it. Next one, Carmine Pagnosi. Have you ever thought of making the Drinker Fixies Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? I have actually thought about doing that. I don't even know if I could fix it at that point, though. Christ.
A flamethrower. That'd be the fix for it.
Yeah. I'd probably kill off Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character within like the first 2 minutes and make it a big fake out. Like, oh, she's been set up as this, you know, girl boss that's going to lead the way, and then she just immediately dies during the first exchange.
Please.
Northern English bastard. Dear Drinker and guests, it's bad enough they killed Bond in No Time to Die. Now Amazon gets to kill him all again. Also, hail to the box office brawler.
We love the bastard.
You bastard.
We love the bastard.
Oh yeah, I've had this one from Mikey already. M8566. It still blows my mind that they haven't made a Bond film since 2002. I know, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
We just had this fan fiction going on. Welcome to...
I'm a big fan of Casino Royale. Huge fan of Casino
Yeah,
Royale.
no, that's fair. That's fair.
But that
Casey
really did
Amsterpiece.
set up what they were doing with that, where he just has a guy hit him in the balls in the very first movie. It's like, it was hard.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably should have just removed them altogether. We would have understood.
Maybe they did. Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah, subsequent
More
movies would
damage
make
than you thought.
Jonathan Mulligan, Hail Drinker and Panel, would like to recommend Watership Down on Netflix. Well done, an excellent soundtrack. Is this... Wait, what? Is this a
The
remake?
original one?
Is that the Rabbits?
I assume
Yes.
this is the original.
Wow.
Talk about British institutions. That traumatized an entire generation of kids.
And made them better for it.
They fucking showed that at Easter once when I was like 8 years old.
Oh, apparently
Brutal.
there's like a CGI 2018 version.
Wow.
Oh, no.
That's grim, man.
Looks like a series.
I mean,
That's
this guy says it's well done, so maybe it's not that bad.
Maybe.
Yeah, 4 episodes.
Does it have the
series,
original
so-
songs?
You got some balls to watch that.
Yeah. Chipmunk of
Oh, God.
Vengeance.
The
Sorry.
trailer alone looks horrifying, so at least they kept the
The
Brutal
terror.
gore. It's basically Saving Private Ryan with rabbits.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm getting give me flashbacks now. Oh God, just remember the headlight scene. Oh my God, no. No.
The bit with the dogs at the end, just like literally ripping them like limb from limb. Like, good lord, this is a kid's film.
Every British child has PTSD and just kind of suppressed it. This is why the Brits are so good at suppressing things. We've just been taught to do it our entire life.
Yeah, and then someone mentions Watership Down, and you start coming out in a cold sweat. Like,
This is the reason we binge drink.
yeah. Chipmunk of Vengeance, Cadbury's, Lord of the Rings, and now James Bond. Yet another British franchise destroyed by American corporate brain rots. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Americans ruining everything.
There's no other word for that. Gosh, it's corporate brain rot. That's absolutely what it is.
Especially chocolate. You guys cannot do fucking chocolate to save your lives.
Because it tastes
American
like
chocolate
vomit.
is absolutely horrible.
Chocolate's
Yeah.
sweet, man. You're missing out.
Nah, you just
No,
come
no,
over to the UK and try some
We got
ours. It's way
Reese's,
better.
right? We got Reese's, Hershey's.
Yeah, but you have to throw peanut
Cheese.
butter in there to make it halfway palatable.
Why would you
That's
reference Hershey's positively?
Well, that's the thing. Hershey's is the one that tastes like vomit because it has the chemical in it, which is only found in that, so nobody else knows what it tastes like. They taste chocolate. It's like, oh no, not. Oh.
What's good British chocolate? I've never heard of that in my life.
All of it.
Double
Galaxy?
decker. Give me a fucking double decker all day, every day, man.
You remember the Yorkie adverts? It's not for girls.
Not for girls.
Not for
It was
girls.
on the bar. With
And
like
the flake
printed with a red
advert.
line through.
Flake adverts where a woman's literally filleting a chocolate bar.
Yeah, or what was it? There was like a James Bond kind of thing, all because
Milk
the lady
tray.
loves milk
Lady loves
tray.
milk tray, yeah.
There was a chocolate advert that was banned over here, Bueno, because it had a thing where the chocolate was talking and it said, "You can lick my ripples," but it got banned because people were mishearing it.
Oh, man.
All right.
The world used to be great, didn't it?
I know, we used to have fucking fun.
Yeah.
Remember
What-
that? That was great.
Tango adverts got banned because they were like, you've been tangoed, and he'd slap them.
Oh
If you were
yeah,
doing
kids
that in
were
the
getting
school-
punctured eardrums from
Yeah,
that.
they'd pop their ears. So they're like, we have to ban this for English safety.
That one guy says, "Drinker and panel, have you seen The Gorge yet? It had 2 Easter eggs that genuinely made me smile." I know Gary's seen it. He said it was quite good.
Yeah, he said it's worth seeing. It's not like a great film, but definitely one that would entertain.
It's on Netflix or something, isn't it?
I think it's Netflix.
I think it's streaming. It's on some streaming service.
Oh, it's streaming somewhere. Yes.
Yeah. Either way, it's a horror movie, isn't it?
Oh, it's on Apple.
Oh yeah.
That's why no one's
Apple,
watched
right.
it.
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Zeddy Boy says Dracula with Bela Lugosi came out in 1931. Drinker, is it that old? Seriously, Jesus. Well, it didn't feature in the top 20 movies of that year because I looked at box office results. The Masterpiece says, "What is the movie/TV equivalent of being an Unreal Tournament fan while the studio in charge cancels it in favor of focusing on Fortnite?" I mean, any major franchise that you've been a fan of over the years, I suppose, they just repurpose it into something else.
Yeah.
Unreal Tournament getting cancelled was a disaster because they were giving that away free as an engine showcase, and so Fortnite was just so expensive, like so popular. It was a good business decision. It was just horrible if you're a gamer.
Yeah, I'd say Star Wars, but nobody gives a shit about Star Wars, so it couldn't be the Fortnite analogy.
Yeah, there would have to been something good being created.
Yeah.
It may be Conan the Barbarian getting cancelled for Wheel of Time because that was going to be a very hyper masculine kind of show.
Am I misremembering, or didn't 1313 get cancelled to create some horrible shit for Star Wars?
It got cancelled. Didn't get cancelled because Disney took over the game rights as well, or something along those lines, which conflicted with its production. Oh, well, yeah, because didn't Disney say that? Yeah, because 1313 was meant to be like dark and gritty, and they wanted it to be more child focused.
Gosh, I miss old Star Wars games. That was peak.
They made some good ones, yeah. There was some good Star Trek games as well back in the day.
Wasn't Amy Henning going to work on one?
She was the one who was doing that.
No, but it got cancelled. No, she was going to do something later, weren't she?
She was going to do the.
And then,
yeah.
Came out instead.
Yeah, she left Naughty Dog. Pushed
out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
And then she was working on that Star Wars game. We saw a couple of snippets from it, screenshots, which looked like could be interesting, and then that got panned as well.
Well, I mean, at least we got Outlaws.
Oh yeah.
Gosh,
it provided fuel for 1,000 YouTube channels. That's for sure. Here's one. Morena Baccarin from Deadpool also got the Baldoni treatment. Is that true? I mean, she stayed in it. She was always in the movies. I don't know.
When they say the Baldoni treatment, what do they mean exactly?
Well, kind of fucked over by Ryan Reynolds.
I've seen different takes on whether or not that's the case. I know that wasn't he the one that kicked down the notion that she would have a bigger role and become like a superhero as well or something.
Not sure. I don't know what the story is behind her involvement in Deadpool. Like, I just kind of always saw her as like a fairly like periphery character. Ultimately, like she's almost something to be fought over rather than.
I mean, first film, she's pretty significantly in it compared to the second film, and then certainly compared to the third film.
Yeah,
it's like she's just getting phased out.
I mean, have you been keeping tabs on this, like this whole Blake Lively?
No, every
Baldoni
time
bullshit?
it comes up, I'm like, hey, someone help me out. What's going on with that? Because I don't. It doesn't. It's hard to follow exactly of like what even the updates are. I'm waiting for the story to end, I guess.
I know, yeah, it's kind of like constantly changing. Like, it would take way too long to try and describe it here. Like, I don't know, fucking go watch my video.
I seem to be grabbing from other people is just that Ryan Reynolds is not doing himself any favors, and neither is Blake Lively.
I think, yeah, Blake Lively's really come off badly in this. The public perception seems to be against her, and Ryan Reynolds has been drawn into it as well. And it seems like behind the scenes he's a bit of a prick.
Well, that's not hard to believe, is it?
That's also
from all the people that I know in that sphere, nobody has ever had anything nice to say about Ryan Reynolds. Apparently, he's just a fucking asshole.
Well, he's a bitchy man. He's a male feminist, and you can't trust them. It's
I really don't like him. I don't get why everybody's such a big Ryan Reynolds fan. I don't think he's funny. I think he's always a smartass in a way that I'm not into. So I've never got.
Well, nobody's denying he's played the same character his whole career.
Yeah.
But sometimes it works. Sometimes you get some jokes that are like, oh, that's kind of funny.
He's charming. He's very charming.
Well, I think, yeah, it's kind of an interesting example of like when the public persona starts to crack. You know, like, because him and Blake Lively, like up until maybe a year ago, were like the darlings of Hollywood. Like they were always funny and self-deprecating. They were always making fun of each other. Everyone loved them. They all seemed like very happy-go-lucky. And then you get all these like accusations come out, and they are just kind of unmasked. These kind of like brutal, clinical businessmen who just like ruin anyone who gets in their way, and they're just out to make money. They're out to promote their brands, and that's really all there is to them. Whether it's true, I don't know. Because
Brawler, did you not like Deadpool and Wolverine? Did you not love it?
Man, you know, the first time through, I was pretty disappointed. Then I saw it again. I liked it a little more. He was a little bit more funny the second go, but
there you go.
I just not for him. He's just not. No, I'm over Jackman, man. I love him.
Molly's fishing for allies on that one.
It's like, I'm alone on this island.
Are you one of us or one of them? Let's this one. After Jesus, Cynthia Erivo is going to be Bond, and it's going to be a musical.
Gosh.
Yeah, her like every time I see a picture of her or Ariana Grande, they seem to have become more skeletal. It's kind of terrifying.
Melanie Mack just put a picture up of what's she called? The other one, the small white woman. And
Ariana Grande.
Yeah, she just looks. Oh my god! I think she's going to drop dead in like 5 minutes.
Because I've seen people say like, you know, this is very inappropriate. She could actually be having some kind of like medical condition. It's like, well, then it would be appropriate.
Yes, then it would be.
that would be the.
And if it is something like anorexia, it's like, well, someone needs to intervene and help her.
Yeah,
because like she
exactly.
will.
That's what I mean by it would be appropriate. Like saying like, "That's so rude. You have no idea what she's going through, or whatever." It's like, no, but that's the point. It's like she needs help or whatever. That's what people are saying.
Yeah,
there's something's going on there. She looked great before, man.
Yeah, because she was a pop star and she was petite, like she was just healthy, sort of, you know, size, looked great, and then started getting into movies. I don't know what the fuck happened to her, but
I think we all know.
Yeah.
Gosh.
She's been on the
I think we could speculate what got into her.
Yeah, Master of Puppets. Who's that Kiwi on the bar?
Fuck off.
For the Emperor. Been a member for 4 months. Welcome, sir. Yeah, Dracula kickstarted the Universal Monster Universe. I won't stand for you not mentioning that it came out in 1931. You've got to do better, drinker.
Damn.
What don't you understand?
Have you even seen movies? I'll bet you don't even watch the movies you review. Oh.
God, I can't believe I haven't been watching my 1930s movies. Gannon Folderall. Drinker, 1931 was also the first version of the Maltese Falcon from the 1930 novel. Remade as a comedy in 36, Satan Met a Lady, Bogart's 1941. Where's part 2 of this? Version is the famous, most influential one, later remade as a comedy again in 1975. The Blackbird with a couple of actors from the 41 film. Cheers. Wow.
Wow. Dang.
Oh, wow.
Smart story, bro.
Smart guy.
Yeah. Rolando Ramirez says, I saw Flight Risk on Saturday. I liked it. Mark played an interesting character. The main leads were pretty good. Nice film to watch. 7 out of 10. Anyone else
All
seen
right.
Flight Risk?
I saw
I've
it.
not heard.
It's fun. It's harmless. It's harmless fun. Mark Wahlberg, he's definitely the star. The other guys, the main girl, she's kind of insufferable. But the what's his face? The guy from that 70s show, Tobin Grayson, is that his name?
Topher Grace.
Topher Grace.
Topher Grace.
Topher Grace.
Topher
Yeah,
Grace.
He's all right. He's pretty funny. Mel Gibson, he's definitely got a comedic charm to him because this is his baby, this movie. And wow, Mark Wahlberg though, he goes insane. Like he's pretty freaky in it.
Nice.
Yeah,
about
it's
you
worth
guys?
a
I saw
watch.
the trailer and I felt like I'd seen the whole film.
You sort of had, but you know what? You go and you support your boy Mel Gibson, and you go check that out at the theater. That's what I did.
I was going to say, I don't know about you guys, but I am fully in support of Old Man Gibson's era, where he's just, just make stuff, do things. You
Let him
crazy son
cook,
of a bitch.
Mahler. Let him
Yeah.
cook.
Yeah.
I want to see
Let him
Old
grow
Man
a
Mel.
crazy beard and just be a nut job.
Old Man Max, come on. That'd be great.
Yes.
Why haven't they made that yet?
I know, it's right there. Master of Puppets says, cousin doing the family tree found that we're very distantly related to J.R.R. Tolkien, so I declare that Rings of Power isn't canon, or at least a fever dream that
Wow.
Elrond is having about kissing his mother-in-law. Yeah, I mean, you could be part of the Tolkien estate, man. You need to get right in there. Sort it out. Rescind the rights. Chris says, much like Star Wars, James Bond is going to be reduced to nothing but a streaming category at the end of the day. I don't think it'll ever see a theater again. Amazon gets more value out of it on streaming. That would be sad. That would truly be awful.
I wish a lot of these streaming films would go to the theaters. It would just be so nice to go to the theater every week and have something interesting and different to watch. I don't want to watch it on the TV. I love going to the theater, and gosh, it is so dead right now. The theater, nothing good to see. Nothing.
I mean, January, February are pretty lean months, aren't they?
But we need something, right? We need something to enjoy. It's cold out.
Don't worry, you've got Snow White next month.
Gosh.
That'll keep us amused.
Oh, it's torture.
Rob Wall says, PSA for AMC Theaters A-list. 3 movies a week for free, even IMAX/Dolby for $20 a month. In places like New York or California, where a premium format is around $30 a ticket, it pretty much pays for itself even going once a month. That is a pretty good deal, actually. $30 a ticket? What the fuck?
California's nuts, man. It's terrible. The prices are a nightmare. My gosh.
Imagine if you took the whole family to go see that. Like, 2 parents, 2 kids. You're talking $120 before you've even bought snacks and all the other crap that they need.
Isn't that an interesting direct comparison of like people? Why can't we go to the theater anymore? Blah blah blah. There's just like I don't fucking want to go.
It's like I could buy a new fucking car for the cost of a theater tickets these days.
Take a family of 6 to see Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah.
Ugh. I regretted taking a family of 1.
Yeah. Personal favorites from 95: 7, Die Hard 3, The Usual Suspects, Toy Story, 12 Monkeys, Halloween 6, GoldenEye, and to this day still perhaps the best live-action Hollywood video game adaptation. I mean, GoldenEye on the N64 was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, Bush, goat of a game.
Yeah, it was quite a good year in movies. Next,
back when we
the answer: Clint Eastwood is James Dirty Bond. Oh, what could have been.
I hear a lot of talk about his son, Scott Eastwood. I'm kind of surprised we don't see him in more things right now as like a young up-and-coming male actor.
He's not really young anymore, though.
Oh, he's not? Oh, man.
No, I mean, I think he's well into his 40s at least now.
Oh,
hold on.
I was way off.
He
38.
is...
38.
Oh, 38, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, leave that man alone. Drink.
Holy shit. Does he look like Clint or what? Holy cow.
Yeah, he's got the resemblance there.
Yeah.
What if he practices like pulling the same facial expressions as his dad, just to, like, capitalize a little bit?
That is quite the shadow to act under, though, isn't it? Being Clint Eastwood's son. He'd be
Yeah.
like, do you
Well,
want
it's
to
like
lean into like the westerns, or do you want to avoid them so that you don't get compared? You know.
Well, it's like being
Mm,
Kurt Russell's son. It's the same problem.
yeah.
Well, Jack Nicholson's son's doing the same thing. He's got his dad's frown.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
yeah.
He's got
They
his
used
smile
the
as
smile
well.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your name's an adverb. Panel's thoughts on Matt Damon as Odysseus. Good, bad, indifferent? I mean,
He looks
different,
good.
I've never,
From that
I've
one
never,
picture.
I mean, apart from the Bourne movies, I've never felt that Matt Damon has the gravitas to take on roles like this. I don't know. We'll see, but
Also, you just said it looks good. From what I gather, average fans of just looking interested in movies and stuff are very happy with that poster. People who know everything back to front about the Odyssey are very unhappy with that picture.
I don't know anything, so I'm happy. Whatever that means.
Well, I don't know.
You did an entire speech about the TikTok generation being happy with anything
No,
earlier.
man.
You're like,
Don't put me there, please.
You played yourself.
I say
Here we
Matt
go.
Damon isn't the worst thing because you've got Ellen Page who's got no tits anymore. I don't know how they're going to explain that.
Is
But
Ellen
Persephone, you've
Page
lost your
playing a
tits.
man or a woman, though? A very small man, perhaps.
What if they're playing Medusa?
You got Zendaya.
Oh, gosh.
Yay.
And Tom Holland.
Do they come together as like a package deal? Are they like glued together?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Like
do wonder
separated?
sometimes, like, are they repped by the same agent?
Tom
Probably.
Holland did say that people love casting them together because it's cheaper as they can put them up in one hotel. He said they absolutely love giving money or something like
Cast me and cast my boyfriend. Said Tom Holland.
I do have to be honest, this
massive,
cast
though,
is
like-
not getting me excited. Like, this is a pretty weak fucking cast for a movie of this scale. I mean, like, I trust the director and his ability to pull good performances out of people, but man, he's set himself the Mount Everest of challenges here.
Nolan is, I would say at this point, clearly a up and down director in terms of like just at Oppenheimer, which I feel was an up. So maybe we're heading for a down, and we have to accept that until we get the next up.
This could be the next Tenet.
Ugh.
It could well be, yeah.
I still haven't seen that.
Who knows
Still
what, like,
wanna see it.
time-twisting, non-chronological nonsense he's going to pull with this one. I don't know.
You want a great version of the Odyssey? Go watch Ulysses 31, baby.
Yeah, Cannon Foltrol, 1931, also saw Dracula and Frankenstein kicking off a slew of horror films, the definitive versions in pop culture for decades. Cheers.
Fucking hell,
Nice.
there's a lot of Dracula in this.
Yeah.
Who is this person? He's fucking obsessed.
I don't know. Maybe he's just like super into 1931. He just fucking knows every movie that came out then.
Or he is Dracula, and he's going, "Hey, have you heard about that Dracula?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
He sounds like a cool guy.
Well, I'd sure love to hang around him and his crypt."
You should have him on open bar. August Lyon says, I'm an old fart. I thought after oversaturation, the comic book world is largely burnt out in movies. I'm hoping for a return to good story writing without political and cultural agendas and with good characters. That'd be nice. We'd all like that.
That'd be
Ooh, good
great.
characters, yay!
Please bring it back.
Yeah.
Next one. Davao. What are some great examples of an average story or generic plot that's carried by amazing, consistent characters that aren't OG Star Wars or Marvel? That's
Before
interesting.
answering that, I just want to draw attention to that icon they have there. For those who don't know, that is my attempt at drawing Sonic.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Bang on, bro. Bang on.
I was gonna say,
I think
little
Den-
bit needs a tweak or two, but it's on point.
Nice
Denzel Washington in The Equalizer. The very kind of basic revenge stories. And Denzel's just fucking amazing because he's Denzel Washington.
I feel like you could say that for John Wick, for Taken, for
Yeah.
Nobody. Like there's
Yeah.
a whole archetype of movies for this.
Yeah, I mean,
the Blacklist. Raymond Reddington's such an amazing character in that. He kind of carries the show.
oh yeah, brilliant.
And James Spader couldn't, anyone apart from him would probably let it down, but
Yeah.
he just carries it.
There was also Snowpiercer with Sean Bean. He carries Snowpiercer on his back compared to the rest of the cast. He also did one, I can't remember what it was called, but he every single week he was sort of a deep undercover guy, so he plays an entirely different character every single week. And he's
Christ, what was
amazing
that
in that
called
as well.
again?
I don't know. I can't remember it. Sean Bean.
Yeah, hold on.
Undercover.
Legends. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because like his identities are all referred to as legends, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I've
Yeah,
never heard
that's
of
quite
that.
good.
It really showcases him as an actor because every single week he's playing someone entirely different. And a lot of actors couldn't do that as they play themselves in
That's a TV show, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so this is like 10 years ago as well.
Okay.
Oh, God, it's made me feel old again. Yeah. I was actually going to say it wasn't that long ago when you just said
It kind of was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Next one was, James Busher, Drinker. I heard you say that you started watching Alice in Borderland. If so, how far into it are you, and what do you think of it so far? So I'm in like 3 episodes into season 2. So just at the section where they have to fight these guys in like a big container yard.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like, they got to score points, and got to the end of that episode. That's as far as I'm into it. Really fucking like it. I love the concept. I'm kind of curious to see where it's going. Man, there's some brutal moments in that. Like characters are properly forced to make horrific choices. And like it pulls the rug out from under you right early on in season 1, where you think like the 3 friends are all going to be going on this adventure together.
I always recommend it. I always recommend it to people by going, just tell me when it happens. And they're like, what? They're like, you'll know. That's it. Everybody knows. Everybody.
Yeah.
I think season 2 is better than season 1 as well. It definitely picks up as you get into some of the characters that you've seen before, and you explore them more.
I mean, we talk about the failings of Netflix season 2s and stuff, but the season 2 of Alice in Borderland was phenomenal. And I mean, it just gets better and better as this series goes on, and it really ends in a phenomenal crescendo that you kind of say, because I think this is where it ends. It ends this series where the anime ends, where the manga ends, I believe. And
I'm sure there's a season 3 coming out.
Season
there is.
Is there going to be a season 3?
There's a thing that they add at the end of this season, which makes you go, oh! So if they decided to end it there, you'd be like, okay, but they renewed it, as you know, for season 3, and something big's going to come into play for season.
And there
3.
is another manga. It just goes on to a different manga, which is what this season 3 will be. So it's still going off source material.
Okay.
Yeah, I must admit, it does a really good job of making you like the characters as well. But I almost don't want to like them because, like, I get the feeling none of them are going to be around for long.
This is why I use it as sort of the gold star of how to do characterization, because they will do an entirely new game. It's a death game. They're all dead by the end of it, but you care about them before you hit it in like 20 minutes. So you don't have Rings of Power going, well, we needed 8 hours, so you like the people. No. You can do it instantly.
I still don't like it. I'm happy they're dead.
And as a little side note, as a companion, piece to what we were talking about with Doctor Who and stuff, there's a transgender character in this that's like really well handled.
If you read the manga, it's handled quite differently. It's a lot more it's the way that the boys handles it.
Right.
They would not appreciate that bit, which is why it was changed.
I did look up the actor or actress in this case. And
she's a model.
She's a Japanese model.
That was the one unbelievable thing about the series.
Yes.
A guy transitions into a fucking supermodel.
That's why I looked up, because there's no way, right?
It's like I was kind of like, because I'm feeling things here and I don't want to, so I want to check, see if it's all right. Because she's in like a bikini the whole show, so it's pretty cool.
You got asteroid strikes, fucking laser beams from space. That is the one thing that's not believable in the entire show.
It's the airships I'm still puzzling over at the moment, and they explode when you get like a win. It's like, okay, sure.
Well, that should be explained. Well, I mean, it is explained, and it'll definitely be explained in season 3 if they go where the manga was going.
Okay. What's the next one? A bonus icebreaker shot. It was written, directed by David Giancola of Time Chasers fame. Chuckles to you, Disparu. Have a round on me, and cheers to you all.
There's a house.
Sure. What is this a reference to? I don't even get what he's talking about here.
What I was speaking. Was it when I mentioned Snowpiercer? Because Icebreaker was a different movie earlier on.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah.
No, Icebreaker was Sean Astin.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the one that set
and
like a
Bruce
ski
Campbell,
resort or something.
Bald
Yeah,
Bruce Campbell.
Bald
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell. God, good memory. Synthwave Goodbye says, I'm a Zoomer. Most of us seem to know some level that we're being fed slop, and social media has indeed supplanted other entertainment forms. It's like, so you guys are aware that you're being fed shit, but you still eat it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but don't we all though?
Get some
Because
taste.
People aren't watching like news anymore. Everyone's on YouTube, even us, even old people. I think we're all doing it. It's not just like a
wait,
Zoomer thing.
not everything on YouTube sucks.
I've heard the real BBC's fucking awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then imagine a Zoomer saying, "Not everything on TikTok sucks."
Yeah,
that's what we call them wrong.
Yeah. Gosh.
I'll do one more here. August Lion. Attention span of a goldfish is 5 seconds. TikTok at 7 is 2 seconds more than a goldfish. That's true, yeah.
3, isn't it? 3 second memory for goldfish.
So yeah, clawing our way up from the primordial ooze of entertainment. That's the way we're going to be as a species.
I was so happy when TikTok was banned. That was like, I was jumping up and down. And then what, like an hour later, I guess they were talking about, oh no, don't worry, it's coming back. And I was like, no, we were so close. It was so close to perfection. And
it was never going to be gone though, was it?
I know.
There was always going to be, they would find some way to bring it back.
The Spice Dream.
Yeah. Anyway, on that bombshell, I'm going to finish this stream. I want to say thank you to my panel, you fine gentlemen, for coming in for this tonight. It's been awesome to have you all here.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a lot of fun. Drinker's the man. Drinker's the man.
That I'm a
And
man.
more.
I'm not the man.
I'm
Maul is
also
not a
one
man.
More is more of an idea.
He's a Cthulhu god. Come on now.
You respect my pronouns.
Thank you, everyone who sent us all these amazing super chats. The ones we haven't got through, we will obviously answer in a catch-up stream. But for everyone who's joined us as well, thank you for doing that. Hopefully, you've got a little bit of fun out of this. But that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
See ya.
Or will we see you?